Mother, man.
This is Crazy Mike, and you're listening to Murder Metal Man.
Spreading faster than a case of the clap in a trailer court. Able to shatter eardrums within a 666-mile radius. A podcast more brutal than all the rest. It's Murder Metal
What is up, motherfuckers?
Dude, it is fucking Saturday, not
That's right.
Tuesday.
We're all fucked up this
yeah,
week,
bro.
but we're doing this for a damn good reason. We got a room full of very special guests here with us today.
Fucking friends from the heart for real.
That's right. All of the former guys from Low 12, plus Crazy Mike Lanham in here with us. So managed to squeeze in all the former members of the band, but two that we're not able to make it. We'll get into who's here and all that and who's not when we get to that part. So how's it going, guys? What's up?
What's up? We got
What up?
Okay.
we got Dan, we got Meister, we got Steve,
Hello.
we got Wes, and we got Crazy Mike Lanham. Y'all know this motherfucker. He told stories
yeah.
about couch fucking and shit.
Well, yeah, we've had Crazy Mike in here before talking some tall tales and couch fucking and
Buddy John.
jizz shooting and all sorts of interesting discussions. Breast milk in the face.
That's fucking
So it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, this is a little bit of a departure how we normally record the podcast due to everybody's schedule. So we had to, kind of work around and make it happen. This episode is being recorded earlier. We're actually going to be using it during the third week of February while I'm going to be in Arizona. So this is being done in the past.
How you know what's in Arizona?
What's that?
Not snow.
Not snow. That is correct.
Not fucking snow.
That is
bro.
correct. So that'll be nice. But it's be weird, though, talking about things that haven't happened yet. So we're not usually doing them at a sequence like this. But Chris and I thought this was a special enough event to get all the guys from Low 12 in here to talk about fucking John Wayne Gacy, Chris. How about that shit, man?
I like clowns.
We've been talking about Gacy for a long time, so this will be
They
good.
don't scare me. They scare everybody, but not me.
Now, why Gacy? Well, some of you might not realize, because I know not everybody that listens to the show knows about Low 12, but the theme of the podcast, of course, uses the Low 12 song Crawlspace, which we wrote about Gacy. So that song became our most popular, our fan-requested song, and so we always had to play Crawlspace just about every
like
time.
I said
So
before, every time you guys played, everybody's just waiting like fucking Crawlspace, play fucking Crawl.
exactly.
Meister's here playing in Sedition, and dude, at the same time, y'all played, like we said before, a lot of shows together, and fucking
Yeah.
Crawlspace is always the go-to. Everybody's like, if that motherfucker don't play, I'm killing him.
And you learned that the hard
Tell me I'm wrong, Meister.
Yes, I did.
Oh no, I got my ass whooped in quite a few Low 12 mosh pits.
Right? Exactly.
So, for those of you that have been following the show close, we did cover Gacy a little in our 33rd episode. If you recall, we did that live podcast November 2018 at the Dark History Convention. Since it was the 33rd podcast, we thought Gacy would be appropriate. But all we
Makes
did,
sense.
Chris, we talked about Murderabilia and how Gacy ties in with that.
Right.
So we didn't do it like we're going to do it here tonight. So we just talked about his paintings and some of that part of it. But we never really covered Gacy, so we thought this would be a good one to do. And so here we are doing it here with Low 12. Tonight, the format's going to be a little different since we got Low 12 people in here with us. We're only going to do the Gacy feature. Then we'll have CK call in during the metal segment and Mayhem combined with Low
Yeah, I was gonna
12.
say he's hanging out for the whole.
Yeah,
Mayhem
he's
segment,
going to do
right?
the whole thing
Fuck yeah,
with
dude.
us, so it should be really fun to get CK in on the action and have these guys in here recounting some of our fun times in Low 12, so it should be really
Mayhem.
And it'll be great to have the great metal motherfucker in here with us in CK. So you guys get to see CK up there. That's Cardboard CK with his Joe Dirt wig on.
CCK.
Call him C Dirt. So C Dirt's in here with us, hanging out. CK has approved that wig, so we're not in any danger of bad mojo from fucking with
Ain't no
CCK.
bullshit though. We've had times we put stuff on that goddamn cardboard.
Yeah, he gets
cutout,
all pissed.
and everything with the everything fucks up. It's
Yeah,
like, well,
audio's fucked
no,
up.
that's our fucking mojo right there, bro. That's our fucking mojo.
So CCK's watching over with his C Dirt, Joe Dirt wig on. So no mayhem tonight since the Low 12 conversations are going to have plenty of mayhem to go around. No killer cage match and no karaoke at the end of this one. So this is a little special format, and it is only because we got Low 12 in here with us. So Low 12 songs throughout the whole episode this time. Tried to get everybody's input. I know you guys all gave me some song titles. And so I kind of did a little bit of this, a little bit of that, made a medley for the end. So I
Wes
think
don't
you
even
guys
know how
will
to
dig
play
it.
drums either, so it's okay.
Huge thanks to our sponsor, Spellbound Effects and Art. Tony Campagna creates some seriously sick shit. What do you guys think of this lamp here? I mean, is that not just fucked?
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty amazing. And then, of course, the forearm that Tony made, the Murder Metal Mayhem forearm. So it is just really, really sick. He's
a
doing
dick
some good
somewhere.
stuff. So go to spellboundfxandart.com. Check out his online catalog. And it's great for all the sick freaks on your list. Some Ed Gein-inspired artwork. So speaking of art, got the new Albert Fish mask on the wall up there next to Pogo.
My favorite thing about the Albert Fish mask is the blue eyes.
Yeah.
Like, you look at the eyes, dude.
Looking at me.
No, for real, though. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Like, for real.
Well, SickRickMasks.com is the one that makes those. He's amazing. We've got a few art or masks from Rick in here. So really, really good stuff. And then, Chris, I added the Grace Bud letter underneath that, too. So
Oh, you got one?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, bro. I didn't
Yeah.
even know you were actually...
yeah, I got
You
it.
already got
It's in
it.
a frame and everything.
Nice.
So
So
Oh,
is that Gacy, the other
I
one?
didn't
Yeah.
even notice that, bro.
So why does that sort of look like Pete?
I don't know.
I actually saw Pete dressed as John Wayne Gacy
That's
at one of our
right.
shows.
That's
on
right.
Halloween.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
Halloween. That's right.
Fuck,
So
that
huge
didn't work
thanks
out
to
pretty
everybody
good.
out there listening. We do really appreciate it. We continue to see the numbers rolling in for the show and expanding all over the globe. So thanks for spreading it like a case of the clap in a trailer park, as we would say. We'll be shooting some video tonight for this podcast, so hoping it turns out good. We can put it on our YouTube channel. We got a GoPro being passed around the table here and having a little fun with that. So we got a lot of shit on our plate tonight. We got Low 12 in here with us. We got a guy who likes to dress up like a clown, choking out dudes and burying them in his crawl space. It sounds like a
it's
good
me.
time. So, Chris, what do we need to do?
We gotta get our motherfucking murder on.
Hello, my name is Casey. Won't you stay? Don't be hasty. If you're good, I'll let you see where I hid the 33. Little dirt with a twist of lime.
All right, a little crawl space there, getting us in the mood, talking some John Wayne Gacy tonight. But first, since we have several guests in here with us, we're going to have to do things a little bit differently. So what I'm going to do is announce each of you guys so the listeners know who is in here with Chris and I doing the podcast here.
I don't know
So
none of these motherfuckers, dude.
well, we're doing some video here tonight, so I know some of you may be actually watching this, but for those of you that are listening, immediately to my left, I have Wes Pollock here, former drummer of Low 12 for 10 years, threw the fuck down with us, Kill Floor Kid. So
I ain't
good
gonna
to have
lie,
you here,
Meister,
Wes.
dude.
Fuck yeah, man.
Awesome.
No, I ain't gonna lie about
Got
Wes,
Crazy
though.
Mike Lanham, of course, next. The Crazy Mike, not actually in Low 12, but just as well should have been because he was like the 5th Low 12 member, always helping out.
He was in Low 12.
He's a fucking beast.
He got the titties.
Right in the trenches with us
Got
every
the
fucking
titties.
night. So good to have you here, Crazy Mike.
Thanks. I'm really glad to be here. I'll tell you.
Awesome.
Pretty sure I jacked off to a lot of your pictures that you took.
And to the left of Crazy Mike got Steve Chesney. Steve,
Yeah, what
good
up,
to
Steve?
see you, dude. It's been a while.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here.
And Steve, you were the very first drummer in Low 12 for the first like 18 months or couple
about
years.
A year and a half, I guess.
Yeah. And so you were there in the very, very beginning and then passed the torch to Wes. And we're going to get into all the history of it, but good to have you here with us.
Passed Les a torch, and he turned it into a welding machine. Or something like that.
That's for sure.
Wasn't Steve in the band when you wrote Crawlspace too, right?
He was, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 100%.
That's for sure.
Theme
Now,
song.
Next
song.
to Steve, we got Meister. Of course, Meister, you've been on the show before we did the 50th podcast. And so you were in the band for several years after Les left and then came back, a little back and forth there with Les. But Meister, good to have you here, dude.
Hello, ladies.
If you can see what it looks like, he's very seductive with these like Barbie fucking red fucking headphones stuck to the top of his head.
Dude,
over there.
no, that just made me think of Donnie's hat that you got me, Pete. With Bundy on it. It says, hello, ladies.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, next to Meister, we got Dan Steinlich. Dan, you were in the band for almost a couple years there when Les left and
Almost
then
a
before he
couple
came
years.
back.
A year and a half or so.
So, yeah, so that was awesome. And, of course, we've remained friends playing some fantasy football together. So
Yeah, this year wasn't my best fantasy
No.
year, but
no.
No year is
all right.
my best fantasy year ever. I
And
ain't
then,
even
of
talking
course,
about football. I'm just
next
talking
to
about
Dan,
life.
we got Chris Shaw back over there. How you doing today, Chris?
I am not sober from last night.
I was gonna say
Hell
you're still
yeah,
drunk from
dude.
last night, so
Yes, sir.
that's special. But that's very Shawback of you,
Very
you know.
Shaw.
It's very weekendish.
Yeah. So
Especially the weekend I don't have children with me.
yeah,
I
this
have
is
my
not
kids with me all
the
time. I'm drunk.
the typical Tuesday night. So
Joey, some French
now,
fried
typically
potatoes,
when we
man.
feature a killer on the podcast, we get into their childhood, and since there's some crazy shit that happened to them, you know, that contributed to what they did later on. But in an effort to not have this podcast go on for 3 or 4 days, we're going to try to keep it brief on the childhood stuff. Gacy, of course, born in Chicago, March of 1942. He had 2 sisters who he's close with, even in adulthood. One of his sisters, I saw a special where she actually was talking to him while he was on death row. So they stuck with him, which is cool. I mean, I guess that's fucked up that your brother would do something like that, but
I mean, I
to
gotta-
stick with him even though he did that
I
awful
gotta think
shit.
about it, but I'm not naming names or relationships or anything, but I know someone whose brother killed their mom and mom and brother.
Oh, wow.
That's still right? Yeah, you know Meister, right?
No, not Meister. I didn't kill no.
But Meister did it, dude. I saw it.
So Gacy,
Yeah.
Gacy's got this abusive father who treated him like shit. He was an overweight kid. He was awkward. Tries to gain his dad's acceptance, but his dad's always calling him dumb and stupid. I read something where he hit him with a fucking broomstick when he was fucking 4, calling him a sissy, a mama's boy, growing up to be a queer. I mean, he was brutal.
I just gotta ask a question. You ever grew up? Because I got hit with a lot of shit. Meister, you know.
Sorry,
I got hit with a lot of shit, dude.
Well, I mean, just being hit with some shit doesn't necessarily mean you're going to become a serial killer, of course. But he had
you don't know
more
what the
than
fuck
that,
I've done.
though.
You don't
He
know what
had
the
more
fuck
than
I've
that
done.
because he had this really bad hit with a swing at the park when he was 11, caused a blood clot on the brain. And so another example, Chris, you know, the head injury thing. I just saw there's a thing on Netflix about Aaron Hernandez And it gets into
that
the
was what
whole
was
head
playing
injury
when
thing.
I fucking left. We started watching. I'm like, oh, I watch this. The
Yeah.
Hernandez thing,
Yeah, I watched the first couple parts to it. It's good so far.
I think the thing about the Aaron Hernandez thing is he was a big ass NFL player. He was huge. So
Of course.
That's what made him significant.
Right.
If he just did that, what he did.
Oh, yeah, it happens every day. Yeah.
It
No,
wouldn't have
totally. But I think part of it is the whole brain thing and that issue. So, same thing with Gacy. He's had major head injuries. He's got an abusive dad. We've heard this one before. He has a heart condition that keeps him from playing sports, and another reason for his dad to fuck with him about it. And he claimed a family friend had molested him, but he couldn't even go to his dad because he wouldn't believe him. So fucked up. So, Wes, I mean, it sounds like a lot of hate. I mean, this can't be a good thing to have yourself, that hateful of your dad.
Yeah, Jesus, man. What a way to grow up, right?
Right. I mean, it's just absolutely awful. But we see a lot of these guys that have these really terrible relationships with their parents, Chris. I mean,
I've never seen my dad crawling around on a floor crawler while my mom's banging a John over there.
Yeah, like Pee Wee Gaskins or Henry Lee Lucas. Yeah,
never happened in my life.
that's good. That's good.
It's crazy to be at this perspective of it, though, before we talk about all the rest of the stuff that he almost sympathized with me a little bit, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have somebody that brutalized as a kid, you got to think it's going to have some sort of repercussions. Now, obviously, not everybody that gets hit as a kid turns into a serial killer, so that's part of the equation here. You get some things probably inherently wrong with them, I'm guessing, too. But we'll get into it. It gets pretty crazy. He starts having issues with seizures. He's hospitalized several times. He has a blackout when he's in 4th grade, so he misses a lot of schools. Dad ridiculing him, talking about faking it. I mean, it's just really bad situation. Now, Dan, we've talked about a lot of the head trauma stuff. We were just talking about Aaron Hernandez there. What do you think? I mean, with that leading to violence.
Being the fact that you're also a huge football fan.
Do you agree with it, Benoit? I mean, we could go on and on with that.
I think more along the the steroids realm of that's probably what causes a lot of that with the rage and of course having that pent up inside, violent outbursts. It kind of makes sense. It's always strange to me though that Gacy himself went on to do pretty big things other than the killing
of the murder,
but just
because he actually did
in personal life, with the JCs and all that, he got pretty high
He's
up in
pretty
the
prominent
political chain, I guess. And
it's
the towns that
amazing. He
lived
could
in.
hold it together and do successful things, but at the same time be that fucked up and doing the shit that he was doing. So, Chris, it definitely sounds like the typical head trauma thing, and I think it's just a long line of this stuff. We just see it over and over and over again.
I've been hit in my head before. I have brothers. I grew up
Right.
fighting people and getting hit in the head constantly. And I fell on my head. And I'm pretty all right, ain't I? I'm good.
Well, you remember, I told the mayhem story about. I told that mayhem story about how I had that railroad spike stuck in my head.
Yeah,
I mean, that's fucking
dude.
brutal. So I mean, it happens.
Sometimes when you grow up with brothers and friends like fucking Meister, because we've known each other since we were fucking young as shit. Sometimes you get hit in the head.
Yeah.
And it happens.
I don't remember you crawling over a car while we're driving down the road and you
That never
falling on
happened.
your face.
No, that's a mayhem story. We need to tell that story together. That's good.
So what do you think, Steve? I mean, you're a big football guy. What do you think of the whole head trauma? I mean, you think there's something to it?
Oh, I think there's a lot to it, yeah.
I mean, of course, the late, great Mike Webster is like the benchmark for that because of the movies and stuff that have come out with.
Yeah, the human body, and then these, the muscle and bones and everything got bigger and faster, but the brain is still the same.
Everything but my
it's
dick.
Just,
That's a good thing.
It's just sitting inside a little box there, and you start shaking that box around. What do you think's going to happen?
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's fucking crazy. Now, at 18, he gets into politics, the Democrat Party. probably to get some acceptance, because his dad is such a fucking douchebag. I also saw that he ran away from home for about 18 months, went to Vegas, worked for an ambulance service, and spent 3 months working at the Palm Mortuary. So, sounds like a nice little gig for him. He slept in a cot near the embalming room and saw many dead bodies and the work being done to them. So, claimed to have
that's probably a goal in life.
I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If I get to sleep next to the dead bodies and I got my choice of which one, I'm like, yeah. It's a fucking party tonight.
I'm sure that desensitized him to being around all the bodies.
Well,
too.
yeah,
sure
because
it did,
most
yeah.
people would be like, I'm not fucking sleeping there, He claims he got into a casket with a dead teenage male and caressed his body. What the fuck? I mean, his dad hires a private investigator to find him. He winds up moving back home. But Meister, what the hell's the dude's deal? Sounds like the funeral home might have been the perfect job for this fucking guy.
Well, I mean, if they're dead, they can't say no, right?
Boom. I like what you just said. Like, I'm going to bang you.
Well, no, you just like,
Hey, shut up! Good job! All right, yeah.
Fuck yeah, bro.
Now, Chris, I don't know how this one got by me that I didn't know he had worked in a mortuary for a period of time. Did you know that? I didn't know.
No.
That surprised me. So I thought it was kind of funny.
I did not know that. I just remember him, Casey's, and fucking hanging out with the president's wife or whatever.
Right.
And killing people.
Yeah. Now he winds up getting into sales, meets up with a woman, Marilyn Myers, who he marries. He lucks out because her father owned 3 KFC restaurants in Waterloo, Iowa, hires Gacy to run them. And it was during his time in Waterloo that he started hanging out with teenage employees and getting fucked up with them, leading to the assault of one boy and some prison time for sodomy. So, Crazy Mike, it all goes to... I knew that would get his attention. So it all goes to hell once the sodomy begins, doesn't it, Crazy Mike?
Oh, it sure does. It sure does. When
I mean, that's when you go to hell in a fucking handbasket.
and now for the sodomy update.
Yeah.
We have
It's a
Crazy
breaking
Mike
sodomy news from Crazy Mike Lanham. I knew that would get your attention, Mike.
That's fucking hilarious.
So
But
he
it was
also
with somebody
get.
he knew, wasn't it? Wasn't the boy a son of somebody that he knew in the political scene?
I think
that
that
time?
was one of the JCs. I believe you're right that it was somebody he knew from that part. But yeah, I mean he gets into the JCs, throwing these wild fucking parties. He's just a natural at sales. It's something he's really good at, and he uses it like a weapon because that's how he's able to, win
Dude.
these people over. They believe his shit.
Other than the actual dressing up like a clown, him and Dean Coral had a lot in common.
Oh yeah. Well,
Like-
we know that Gacy was, a fan, so to speak, of
Exactly,
him and
yeah,
Elmer
yeah, I'll
Wayne
go with that,
Henley.
yeah. But dude, he just fucking him and Dean Coral together. Like, how can I get these young boys in my house? Dean Coral had a
Right.
pool table in his basement and everything.
Right, the candy
he's like,
business.
He's like ready
yeah.
to fucking do it. He's like, which one am I taking tonight, boys?
And don't forget the stag films.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you
That's
can't
right.
forget the stag films.
Now,
bro.
Steve,
Not
he's
at
definitely
all.
got a charisma, and obviously that's how he's able to blend in so well into society. I mean, to me, that's the scariest, is when somebody just seems totally normal that could do some shit like this.
Well, aren't a lot of the guys? I don't know. Have you ever done women on your show? Have you ever done a girl, Pete?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
I've done women on the show before.
We've done female killers before. Sure.
Well, anyway, so I think a lot of them, though, if they get involved and create some sort of relationship as part of what happens in their particular crime, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, everybody's got their own kind of angle, but with him, the secret weapon was the fact that he was so personable and so likable and blended in seamlessly into society.
Let me show you a trick.
Then he's able to get behind the lines, you know what I mean? If
Well,
he's all
but,
freaky looking, you're not going to let him in your house, or you're not going to let your kid go to a birthday party with him.
No, you look more like your uncle, didn't you?
A kid walked up to
I
me
mean, that's
right
the
now.
problem. He's just
It's like,
this.
hey, my mom said I could go to your kid's birthday party, I'd be like, I need to personally talk to your mom because if something happens to you, I need to let you know that I'm a good person.
Yeah. Now, he winds up having 2 kids with his first wife, but after he gets 10 years for that sodomy charge in Anamosa State Prison, he never sees any of them again. But he adjusts in prison, becomes a cook, very well liked. You saw a video of one of the documentaries where he's on camera talking about like the Thanksgiving dinner he's making at the prison. So he was able to just totally win people over with his personality. He only winds up doing 18 months of the 10 years, and he gets out in 1970. That is fucking insane. While he was inside, his father dies from cirrhosis of the liver, and he's devastated because he was never able to make things right with his dad. Chris, you had something?
I forgot what I was going to say. It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, it's crazy, though, that he only did 18 months. I mean, out of 10 years, that's fucked.
And who did we just do that got out, that killed, like, that got convicted of murder, got out, like, fucking 20 years or whatever later, but then killed, like, multiple people after that?
Oh, the one in Texas. Yeah.
Yes, Texas.
Yeah. Yeah,
my
I mean,
God,
he got paroled and then went on and killed again. But this is, we talked about this, that if they would have kept him in the whole time, the whole 10 years, he would have got out in 1978, and that's when he was arrested.
Yeah.
So all those 33 victims would have never fucking happened had they just kept the son of a bitch in fucking prison.
What's been a hell of a good?
Might not have worked.
Yeah. I mean, 18 months is a fucking pretty light fucking sentence for ass raping a fucking kid.
Hey, dude,
you know,
I did
that's
that
fucked up.
yesterday, and
you
it
know?
was all right.
So, Meister, when you look at it that way, I couldn't imagine, you know, what these families of the victims would think. You know, if you knew somebody did something like that to a family member and then saw him, you know, get out on with such a light sentence, I mean, you'd be fucking furious, right?
Nowadays, dude, it'd be chaos. There'd be riots. There'd be this and that. Well, you would think. I mean, there's no way you could get away with it now.
No.
I mean, this is all way before I was born, so I mean, things are definitely different, but I mean, still, ass raping a kid and murder is still...
I mean, people are fired the fuck up. They want justice, and they didn't feel they got it, you know, with an 18-month sentence.
Was there any kind of reasoning behind it, like prison room?
He was just a model inmate. He immediately took to he became head of the kitchen.
He had fucking... goddamn influences by like government. He's a Republican as fuck.
He was he was part of the Democrat Party, but I don't think he was that big at that time. Oh. It was after he got back to Chicago that he got really into the political stuff.
Right.
But again, with the charisma and being able to talk his way through and present himself,
everything, everything
model inmate,
right. Oh, very much so.
I wonder how much punishment he might or might not have taken while he was in prison, because that's what they.
Oh, he gave the punishment.
Well, I know that he was very well liked by the inmates, and a lot of it was because he had a fucking good line of bullshit. He could cook. Yeah. You know, those guys, you know, they don't eat fucking very well, so they find somebody that can cook.
Shit.
They're all about it. I think they probably left that fucking guy alone, you know, would be my guess, you know. But I don't know. So he's charged in 1971 sexually assaulting a teenage boy in Chicago. But this is unfucking believable. His Iowa records don't catch up with him yet, so he doesn't get sent back to prison. So with help from his mom, financial help, he buys a house, the infamous, of course, 8213 West Somerdale in Norwood Park, which is, of course, a suburb of Chicago. Now, Wes, with our song Crawlspace, the Low 12 fans definitely remember that address because it's right there in the lyrics, and they would also love to scream out another line in the song that talked about how many victims Gacy had.
33.
That's what I was going to ask you. How did they... it was always a cool thing when they would do that, but we had so many shows, and these fucking guys loved that song, man.
They ate it up, man. It was actually cool because at that time I'd been in bands that wrote some original stuff, but I think that was the first time I'd ever experienced playing in front of a live crowd and having the crowd yelling the words to the song that you wrote. You know, like, it was cool.
Yeah, was cool. For sure.
33. Do you know if the house is still there?
It's not.
No, they demoed the house,
They did demo it.
and I think they restructured the street so you can't.
It got sold.
Yeah, somebody just
it
bought
was
the lot,
online.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Casey's
there's
property.
like a memorial nearby that
That's
they
cool.
erect, set up for the families and stuff. But
for the families. I thought you were talking about memorial for Gacy.
oh fuck no!
That's fucked up, bro. like,
So-
I'm like,
In
no.
Chicago for you.
The infamous number of 33, wasn't that raised like not too long ago? Wasn't it like 34 or 35? I can't remember.
They thought that there were some more victims, but I don't think that they were able to
Like
prove
Actually
that they
identify
were.
or-
So,
okay.
as far as I know, the
I know
count
what
is still
I know what you're
33.
talking about there, dude.
Yeah, like something. I just hear like within the last like 3, 4, 5.
Oh yeah, it's not been that long ago. It was in
like
the
the
news.
number was raised or questioned at least.
Yeah, they were
I
questioning it.
guarantee Gacy killed more than 33 people.
Yeah, it's very likely. Yeah, for sure. Now he meets a woman, Carol Huff. So he winds up marrying her, moves her into the house on Summerdale. But I'm thinking he's just keeping married to kind of keep up appearances, like the old beard thing, because he is definitely gay and he's denying
shit about my
it.
beard?
No, I'm not.
I'm just lazy. That's the only reason I have it.
Is there a body count timeline in this? You know what I'm trying to say?
Like each murder going down.
Yeah, like you're talking this moment in his life right here, right now, right? What
Right.
would be the body count at this point right here?
I don't think he's killed anybody at this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't
all
think
right.
so. I think he's getting ready to, though. This is what's getting ready to happen. Yeah, he's back in Chicago. He gets married. He moves her into the house, gets mom out of the house. Chris, probably a good thing to get your mom out of the house when you move the new wife and kids in. I'm
Definitely
thinking.
not doing that. My mom's going to babysit.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Was it the first wife or the second wife that
But I've never been married, bro.
she had found a bunch of homosexual books and knew that he was just jerking off constantly and kind of put up with it for a little while?
Yeah, I think they
Right.
both went through that,
Yeah.
but I think that may have been the first one, but I'm not 100%. One of the two, because they both kind of experienced the same thing, to where he finally just told the second wife, hey, I'm gay and I'm just not interested in you anymore, and then she filed for divorce. So definitely, just fucking crazy here with this period of time going on. He's now starting to ramp it up. He's impersonating a cop, so he's getting these people to get in a car with him. Even though he's married, has family living in the house, he continues to prey upon young men and boys. He took one kid on a trip to Florida, I read, where he purchased some property and he raped the kid in the hotel room. So, I mean, this guy is just getting much more aggressive. So as Steve, as we were just talking about, it's starting to escalate like it does in many of these serial killers. He can't seem to get his fill. Now, you were living in Illinois at this time. Do you remember hearing about that in the news and stuff as a kid?
No, I was about 10, I guess, and so probably kept the news of the day. Probably was padded,
Right.
But I gotta tell you, I was raised not to talk to strangers and stuff like that, and
Sure.
this kind of shit probably is more prevalent than you think. When I was about
Right.
that age, 10 to 12, somewhere in there, I was downtown, and a guy in a big Cadillac tried to give me a ride,
Wow.
and he wanted to know if I wanted to make a little money. I
That's
didn't find
fucked
out
up.
what I had to do to make the money. Thank
Yeah,
goodness.
right? Yeah, that's fucked
true
Hey,
up.
story.
Meister, you remember hanging out when we were like 12 years old, riding our bikes back and forth?
Oh yeah, people would pull us over and tell that you were flipping us off.
It's like, no, I wasn't, but really we were.
Yeah, we're gonna go tell your dad. Fuck you, go tell
my
dad.
I don't give
Whatever.
a shit, dude. Yeah.
Now, Chris, this is when he starts PDM Contractors. I'm surprised you didn't wear your PDM shirt.
Yeah, I didn't wear my shirt, dude.
I was
Thank you,
gonna wear
Buster
mine, but
Castro,
I'm
for
like, no,
making
Chris
it,
is gonna
and
wear
thank you
his.
for Jason for actually making it.
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
So he's got a steady supply of teenage boys and young men hanging around Chris. He starts this construction company, and that's kind of what gets him, started in this whole killing business.
Hey, if you have a fucking skill that you know how to use it and kill people.
Yeah. And it's getting worse. He's getting more and more violent. And it's now 1972, Steve. In answer to your question, Gacy starts doing what we know him for, killing, young boys, young men, teenage boys. And in contrast to this behavior, he's also, very popular in the local moose club, dressing up like a clown to visit sick kids.
Everything he did in his private life was separated from his real life.
It's amazing he was able to compartmentalize like that. I mean, that's just unfucking believable.
I kind of want to feel like that if I knew one of you motherfuckers hanging around with me were killing people. I would kind of like to know that I would feel that I know that.
Right.
But at the same time, who knows?
Well, that's just it.
Fucking y'all motherfuckers just standing there looking at your fucking notes like shit.
I mean, I was a carpenter for 15 years.
No.
Do you know me? Do you know me?
I never built shit either.
So his persona of Pogo and Patches definitely made him iconic in the world of murderabilia, dressing up in the in the neighborhood with the outfit and going to the hospital, throwing these big block parties. He's just a fucking life of the party, kind of happy-go-lucky on the surface. So, Dan, just like our Pogo Gacy mask on the wall from Sick Rick, what do you think of that back there?
It's pretty killer. It looks
very realistic.
It looks exactly like it.
Yeah, Ed is just fucking cool as hell.
I'm just glad he's not looking at me right now.
I'm sitting here and it feels like he is kind of looking at me. But yeah, Sick Rick masks, unbelievable. And then that poster underneath it for the upcoming documentary from our friend Chris John Borowski. He's got that the John Wayne Gacy murders movie coming out. So
dude, John's a cool ass motherfucker.
Yeah, John's a great guy. He's done a bunch of documentaries on serial killers, H.H. Holmes, Fish, Pan's Ram. So, Dad, definitely keep your ears open. That's coming out this year. John Borowski doing that from Chicago. So, very, very cool stuff. What do you think, Wes, about people selling stuff like that on, do you agree with it or not?
Stuff like what?
The murderabilia stuff, like the serial killer merchandise.
You know what? Everybody's got their own way of making their money and doing their thing, and I think there's a lot of movies out there about a lot of things that are equally as disturbing that people are making money. In 2002, we made a trip with Low 12 out to New York. And while we were out there walking around Ground Zero where the buildings had just fallen less than a year ago, there's people selling little statues of the towers and all this stuff. They're making money off of the death of thousands of people.
Yeah, it was fucked up. Real cheesy looking stuff.
I hate to say it, but it's kind of the American way.
Right.
Capitalism. You bought an I Heart New York shirt, didn't you?
Nah. I mean, some of you guys are Cubs fans, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's definitely an interesting subject. Everybody's got their own take on it. I think I could understand as a victim, family member of a victim, you'd feel fucking awful if somebody was fucking making money off of that shit. But at the same time, people should have the right to do as long as they're not, I don't know. It's a very interesting quandary because on one side you could see it's wrong to make money off of something you did that's awful like that. Steve, you want to weigh in on that?
We could maybe give it a few points for just keeping people aware that this kind of weird ass shit really goes on.
Well, yeah. We did an interview with a guy that runs a website selling that shit. Murder Central. Was it Murder? It's not. It's Satan Central. He's got
Satan
that website, murderauction.com. William Harder, and he sells. It's like eBay for this stuff.
Somewhere there's somebody locked.
He's got all kinds of stuff
honestly,
available.
Harder, he's part of the bobbleheads that we got. That's his company.
Yeah.
William Harder, that's his company right there.
Yeah.
His bobblehead,
Yeah, I thought the Pogo bobblehead was the one to do here tonight. So,
and speaking of just stuff on the table, I'm surprised you don't have a couple sets of handcuffs for this particular.
Why, you ready to get Gacy raped?
Now, in 1975, Gacy tells his wife Carol that he's bisexual, and by 1976, they are divorced. He's been killing now for 4 years. So, in 75, he's burying bodies in the crawl space of their home. I can't imagine the fucking smell of this shit. Because Chris, I'm thinking Febreze. Not cutting
gonna
it.
Work,
no,
no.
Incense probably not quite enough.
Well, it's part of burying it, isn't it?
Did you say incest ain't gonna
No,
work?
if you bury the body, that's part of.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not burying him 6 feet down. I mean, it's got to be just nasty. I mean,
especially if there's more than 1 or 2. Or,
yeah, like 29. Yeah, for sure.
Pete. Did you say incest ain't gonna work?
Incense.
Incest. Oh, incest. I thought you said incest.
Incest.
I'm like, wait.
No, wrong episode.
Chris.
Yeah, we're not talking about Sonny Bean or anything.
Dude, I burn fucking goddamn wax melts all day. Doesn't smell like incest.
Now, most people that follow true crime know about Gacy and know what he did with his victims. The stories are very similar. Once he had the guy alone, he would convince them to try to do this handcuff trick where they would agree to handcuff themselves, and then once they were completely helpless, they would then see that darker side erupt.
Boom.
And I thought his response, Chris, to that, somebody saying, well, what's the trick? You say the trick is having the keys. So at that point, you're in for some shit because he's automatically now getting
Gacy's
dark
got
and
the
sadistic.
key on him. He's like,
right.
You ain't getting out of this, bitch.
So I can't even
you're my
imagine
slave now.
somebody doing that, Wes. I mean, that is a pretty sadistic thing. He was known to torment his victims. I know one said he was dunking his head under the water, and then just as he was ready to drown, he'd pull him out, then back in and out, like waterboarding type shit. I mean, what the fuck?
How
Man?
big is Gacy?
It's a pretty big boy. I don't know how tall, probably about 6 foot, maybe. Pretty big boy.
Like he weighed a few pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, and he did construction, so I mean, he's a pretty strong guy, I would think. So
part of me wonders, like, if at this point when he starts killing the kids and all this stuff starts happening more and more, if he's like channeling his father, like the way.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if he hated his dad that much, and he would. The whole fact that he was homosexual, I think he struggled with that because he would always deny it when people asked him about it, I mean, until he told his wife that he was bisexual, he pretty much kept that under wraps.
So where did he hide the keys?
He had them in his pocket. Yeah.
He said so. So where the keys at for real?
Yeah, where the keys at? Where the keys at?
Nice. Like for real. Like you got dick in your ball?
Now,
For
Crazy
real?
Mike, I can't imagine hanging out and having a drink with old John Wayne Gacy. Sounds like it might get a little crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought I knew some crazy people, but boy, this really takes the cake.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, it's like you said, we've all known some fucking weird people in our lives. I mean, especially being musicians, and we run into some really fucking weird people. However, the idea that somebody could look this normal on the surface but be this dark and disturbing on the underneath is, to me, is frightening. I mean,
Mike, have you ever gone anywhere with strangers?
I don't know. The other thing for me is that he's keeping this hidden from public the way he really is, which is one thing. That's obviously probably pretty difficult to do.
Right.
He's had 2 wives now, and
right.
And he's kept this under wraps of somebody who lives in the same house with him, and
right.
Well, his floor can't be flat, right, in the basement.
Yeah.
He can't bury bodies and have a little hump there or something. Right? He must have had like a little roller coaster for a basement floor.
Well, it's a crawl space under the house. There's no basement.
So nobody's down in there.
It's just a crawl space.
What am I saying? What's
right. So I thought one of the most fucked up things about Gacy was how he liked to sleep with the dead bodies for a time or stuff them in a closet for a few days before burying them. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, Meister, that's some pretty fucking crazy shit there, dude.
I got no words, but that's I mean, whenever somebody dies, they defecate, everything leaks out and whatnot.
I know.
And how do you Is that like a lotion for that kind of a psychopath?
Well,
Or,
that's why he didn't put him in the attic, he said, because they would leak and you would see it on the ceiling. So he knew enough to not do that, yeah.
Best cuddling material.
So,
things start swelling and whatnot. What do you say? More cushion for the pushing?
I don't know, dude. That's just disgusting. Now, he would typically end the life of the victims with what he called the rope trick, which is where he would tie a tourniquet around their neck until they were dead, twisting it, over and over. A couple victims were buried beneath the concrete in the garage, but a majority were buried in that crawl space. And this is where he fills up the crawl space, can only put so many in there, and he starts putting them in the Des Plaines River. And he would blame the smell, he said, to a musty odor that he would get from water in the crawl space. So that's how he would dismiss it if somebody asked him, I'm just having a little water issue in the crawl space, a little musty odor. I'm thinking of fucking 29 fucking bodies rotting in your crawl space, like 2 feet below where you're fucking walking around.
Dude,
that's gotta fucking stink, man.
You ever had a dead mouse in your house?
Yeah, it's awful. Right, that's
wife
true.
lives at this place, right?
Yeah, with kids. Her 2 kids were living there with him.
Dude, I hit a skunk and I'm still like, 4 or 5 hours after. I'm still gasping for air.
Yeah, I mean, Meister, I don't know how you could say that the rotting flesh smell would smell like a musty odor. Like Dan said, get a mouse that dies in the walls. I mean, it stinks for several days until it finally goes away. It's just gross. Now, Gacy would call it cruising when he went out to look for victims, and the majority of them were murdered between 1976 and 1978. Once his second divorce was done, it seemed like Gacy went into like a berserker mode and started ramping up the killing and filling up the crawl space. So he's got like nobody to fucking stop him at this point. He's just fucking raging. Now, Dan, there was a case, one of the people that he murdered, Jeff Ringnall, who he was chloroformed to get into the car. He takes him back to the house where he's raped and tortured, but then Gacy lets him go, which is kind of crazy. And I'm wondering why he would have done that. I mean, that's the guy who winds up remembering what his car looks like. And I don't know if you guys saw any of this in any of these documentaries, but he staked out the neighborhood where he was until he found that fucking car.
And he knew the car and he knew the license
followed
plate
him
too.
home. That was fucking crazy. I mean, did you see any of that, Dan?
Yeah, I watched a few of those documentaries this week in preparation.
Yeah.
But
isn't that unbelievable?
I don't know why. I mean, why that particular kid? There's just there's a lot of this whole thing is a bad decision, but when you're letting someone go, maybe pick the dumb one to let go. If
True.
You're going to. This
Not a guy that's going to remember your license plate number.
Everything about the experience.
Yeah.
Is there an element where these guys often want to get caught eventually retire?
A lot of them do, yeah. I mean, Son of Sam was one who got a parking ticket, which is a bonehead thing to do where one of the murders happened. And I know from talking to people involved with the case that they think it was kind of like he was done. So he's just like, and they love the notoriety. Yeah. So even though he got a lot of press as Son of Sam, he wanted to be known as, I'm David Berkowitz. I did this. I'm the Son of Sam, So I think that's true. A lot of them do eventually want to get caught. They may not say that, but I think a lot of them just get tired of it. It's got to be a brutal existence,
Weighing on them, too. Wow. I mean, the more bodies that pile up, I guess.
Yeah.
The more it weighs on your
True.
innards.
Yeah,
sure
I mean,
it's a big relief when they finally get.
It very well could be, I mean, it's fucked up. So that black Oldsmobile, they wound up, figuring out who it was, followed him to 8213 West Summerdale, and that was that. So the final 5 victims were thrown in the Des Plaines River off of I-55 near Chicago. He said he was considered putting them in the attic, as I mentioned, but definitely didn't do it because of the leakage problem. But the final victim, this is where he really fucks up and makes a mistake. The last one, Robert Peast, because he was not the runaway that he typically preyed on. He was a regular You know, good kid, lived at home, you know, good parents, good in school, going to college, getting ready to go to college, I guess, trying to make some money, doing construction. So his parents were like fucking like all over the cops when he was missing, not like the typical runaway where nobody would even fucking miss him, and that was kind of who he was going for. In this case, he sees this kid at a pharmacy where he worked, where he was looking to do some remodeling for the owner. So that's how he met him. But nonetheless, he kind of lets his guard down and winds up picking a kid that he probably should have stayed away from. So the cops would later use cadaver dogs to check Gacy's vehicles and did get a death reaction. So they definitely were on his tail. Now, Wes, the cops start following Gacy around, and he's got this just fucking cavalier, big old, you know, just joking fucking persona. But, you know, he's inviting him into the house to play fucking pool, and this winds up being his undoing. And he did actually tell one of the cops that he said a clown can get away with murder. Kind of funny, but I mean, don't you think that was kind of his undoing? Was just too cocky?
Yeah, and this goes back again to like maybe him channeling through his dad. He's multiple personalities, so then the clown thing makes him a different person when he is the clown, right? So
no, it's a different persona for real.
Yep.
Yeah, 100% different persona.
Yeah, that's
I'm
crazy.
a clown
though, yeah.
now. I entertain kids. Now I'm gonna take your boy and. Sorry, I left, guys. I had to poop.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. I'm glad you didn't poop in here, though. I'm glad you didn't poop in here. Now, the cops start following him around, so, I mean, he knows what's up. And, Chris, one of the cops smells the rotting flesh in the bathroom at Gacy's house. I thought this was interesting because, of course, that air coming up from the crawl space, he gets a whiff of that death smell. And, of course, a cop's going to know what that smell is. And now they have a pretty good idea where he's been stashing the fucking bodies.
I think if they came into my house and it smelled bodies coming from the bathroom, they're probably in the bathroom because that's where I kill everybody. The bathtub works great.
Okay.
Drainage.
Well, that's good to know.
Very Tommy
Karate of you.
Great, yeah.
Just came from the bathroom, huh? Bring that body over here. I got a drain.
Now, Crazy Mike, I can't imagine being one of the cops that would find those bodies in that crawl space. I mean, could you imagine that?
Oh man, I'll tell you, the smell and just knowing, you know, what's probably in there, because you can smell something nasty. You know, there's got to be something dead in there. And
yeah, they picked up a bone. They realized it was a human bone. They're like, "Oh my god," you know. And then they found another rib and another leg and another arm, and it's like,
we're talking about Crazy Mike.
What the fuck?
Nasty. Crazy Mike's seen some nasty shit. He's probably gonna touch it.
Yeah, very well could. Like that night at Mill Street Tap with the girl with the mullet, man.
Just say it.
Going out like a glazed donut.
Yeah.
I was just gleaming from ear to ear.
You were. And we were about ready to puke. Yeah, that was pretty nasty.
Did you squirt gravy, Mike?
Yeah. I don't know what was squirting out, but something was.
Coming to the back door of the building.
Meowing and shit. So they completely excavate the house on Summerdale. They pull up all the floors to expose that crawl space and then wind up dismantling the rest of it. They had to bust up the concrete in the driveway and garage to find a couple more bodies. So he has 29 victims at that property, plus the 4 in the river, which is what gives you the 33. Cops wind up finding a murder board in his house. Chris, you were just talking about his obsession with the Candyman, Dean Corll, and his buddy Elmer Wayne Hensley, who's where Gacy got the handcuff trick from.
Yep.
Was Hensley, so.
Dude, if you guys ain't heard the goddamn fucking Dean Corll episode, listen to it, because this dude's like a sadistic fuck.
Yeah.
He just straight take kids off the street. And he was a kid, he made candy.
Yeah,
so
and he had 2 brothers.
Legit. give the kids candy.
He had two brothers fight to the death to see which one would survive and shit. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Dude, that's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, he's fucked. We did one on Dean Coral, the Candyman. So, yeah, if you're listening to this and you've not heard that one, a lot of similarities between him and Gacy, but mainly because Gacy had read articles, and I don't know if it was a book too, about the murders that had happened several years before. So he was definitely aware of him. And this isn't the first time that we've had serial killers get inspiration from others. We just did, Chris, that BTK episode where he was inspired, of course, by Henry or H.H. Holmes and Harvey Glattman, the glamour girl slayer.
Really didn't kill people; he just murdered them.
That's true. That's true. Chris, Gacy would definitely or eventually confess to the murders and drew the cops a sketch of the crawl space where he stashed the bodies. And one quote that I liked from him said, "The only thing I should have been convicted of is running a cemetery without a license." That's a good one. I mean, that's
running a cemetery without a license seems like a good job.
Well, I mean, he's saying I didn't get caught killing them. I did have bodies, and yeah, I put them there, but I didn't kill them. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. See, Wes has got it too. See, Wes, we're on the same
kind of
page,
parsing the words there.
Just driving down the street, I saw it.
Yeah, somebody's got to do something with them, you know. Hey, so. The trial starts,
my dick and then you're gonna die.
The trial starts. I thought this was interesting, Chris. February 1980, and that was the date of the New Mexico prison riot. So a little drama going on in the news there. Jury from Rockford was used to avoid the jury being tainted with all the press coverage. He claimed he was not guilty by reason of insanity, but that doesn't hold water with all the things he did to avoid being caught. You know, putting him in the crawl space in the first place, all the different things he did.
If anything about the fucking Moss's book is real, if anything about that is real, it's fucking insane. What was his name? Josh Moss. I read that book, The Last Victim.
Oh, yeah. I have not read it, but... Yeah, that was the kid that survived.
I was in jail when I read it.
Right.
Jail. Anyway, but yeah, it's the dude that like started. Is it Josh or Jeff Moss?
I'm not sure. The one that killed himself.
Yeah, he straight up did.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a movie about him, but it's supposed to be very over dramatized because it shows Gacy attacking him when he visited him, and that's not how it happened.
Dude, you need to watch this movie. It's like it's fake, but it's real at the same time. Like,
yeah, it's very interesting. It really is about a guy that visited Gacy when Gacy was on death row. Pretty fucked up. But it doesn't hold water. So the jury only takes 2 hours to find him guilty and sentences him to death. And of course, at the time, Illinois was doing execution, so he was actually did sit on death row at Menard State Prison for 14 years. But he flourished in this environment. He was selling his artwork, getting people, on the outside. Actually knew somebody that did this for him, and was selling his artwork, and then probably getting him back the money, putting it on his books.
Up, man.
It is fucked up.
For real.
Fucked
like,
up.
You make paintings and shit. Be like, hey, you can have.
Yeah, the dude was from Peoria. Yeah, I know who it was.
What was his artwork of? I don't know this.
Himself.
The Pogo, the clown.
Yeah, himself.
The Pogo clown painting. He did the Seven Dwarves. He did all sorts of stuff. Yeah, skulls. He did all, but mostly it was the clown.
It was mostly Pogo.
And because it was him, people were buying it.
Pogo doing different things, or
just standing there, balloons, stuff like
Pogo
that.
Jamming, playing some low
No, I mean you could go look. You could buy Pogo paintings for about $3,000. That's about what they run, $3 or $4,000.
Yeah,
the real ones. Yeah,
it's pretty
Dude's
fucked
dead
up.
and still making money.
Yeah, there was a guy that Chris and I met at the last Dark History convention we did, Steve Gianangelo. He's an author, but he's from Springfield. But he has the kit that Gacy used to paint the paintings in prison. Yeah, he's got a whole Gacy collection. Yeah, he's got some crazy shit. He used to be a cop. What's that?
What did he spend on that?
I don't know. I didn't ask.
He may not have spent anything. Maybe he was on his bucket.
We did an interview with Steve Gianangelo that we
Yeah.
did as a separate episode. So if you missed it, I think we did that. Maybe not.
No, we did.
I got to check. I do so many of these, it's hard to remember them all. But no, Steve is a really good guy. He's a good author, too. I've got one of his books. Anyway, he's executed May 9th, 1994 by lethal injection in Joliet at Stateville Prison.
Illinois, kill him, motherfuckers.
His final meal, though, I thought was interesting, guys. KFC, some fried shrimp, French fries, strawberries, and a Diet Coke, watching his weight. And his last words were, "Kiss my ass." Gotta love that. So, been a few months before I moved back to from Texas back to Illinois when this happened. So I was not here at the time, but was here soon after that. So what?
I feel like him and Eileen Warnos would have been fucking good companions.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, she's pretty tough, man. But Gacy, I'd probably give her a run for her money.
Well, she just don't like dudes, and he don't like chicks.
Right.
So they're gonna kill. They're gonna kill the same fucking people. They're like, "Hey boy, you want to get this one?" Yeah. Hey, boy.
Anybody want to add anything to this? I mean, I know Gacy's a big name serial killer. A lot of people know about him, and we've always been reluctant to do those because of that. But we thought this was fun because you guys were here. But anybody want to add anything about Gacy or anything you read that maybe I didn't talk about or anything?
Well, what's funny to me about Gacy, and as far as how we all know about him, is none of us are spring chickens anymore.
Right.
And, I was telling some of the guys I work with that I was coming over here to do this with you guys, and a lot of them didn't know who Gacy was.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
We're getting to that point where the younger generation doesn't know
who
the
these
big
killers
stuff
are,
that happened when
and
we were
you
kids.
know.
That's true. That's true.
That's fucked up.
That was kind of a tough pill for me to swallow too.
Yeah.
I'm not that old.
Right. Right.
He's like, "God damn it."
Wes, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I knew a lot about Gacy from the surface, but I've never dug into it this deep and understood everything that was involved. And I'm sure all of us have had a manipulative person in their life from time to time, but to this level,
not like
that somebody could do it,
right?
All the way from the beginning through 2 wives, through all this, and then even after he's caught in prison,
right?
He
becomes this like entrepreneur,
inside and outside the walls,
exactly.
man. That's just
making
a whole
everybody his
human.
bitch.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's too bad the guy couldn't just do it straight because he would have been like a Ray Kroc or a
fucking goddamn dude
Bill
that made
Gates or
Tesla.
something. If he'd have just used it for good shit instead of the devious,
Instead of murder,
fucked up shit. We had.
But if he
Gacy
didn't
could
do
have
it
been
for
a
murder,
superhero,
we
man.
wouldn't be sitting here talking about
Chris,
it.
when we've had Tex on the show before,
Hey, I'm just
working
saying.
at the prison,
Yeah,
where
he
he
knows
says there's a
about-
lot of guys that have just an incredible
Well,
intellect
that's what I'm saying. But if he
inside
didn't
that
do
just
that,
fucking
we wouldn't-
waste,
We wouldn't be sitting here talking to him if he didn't do what he did.
Of course,
we
of
would
course.
not.
There's
True.
a
Just
new
be a
guy,
smart motherfucker.
Maybe you're familiar with him, and they just recently are putting him on the hook for a bunch of murders.
You talking about Samuel Little, the black dude?
Yeah, the black dude.
Yeah,
So
we
this-
just did that.
This
Why you
guy
gotta be
had
I know.
to
Why you gotta be
remember
black?
every exact detail,
Yeah.
every exact thing that happened, exactly where the bodies are, all this incredible
And could
detail.
even paint the pictures of
Yeah,
them. Yeah,
but at the same time, he's the one that did all these murders.
yeah, 93 of them so far.
Whoa.
Yeah, we just did a podcast on him. It was like first part of December because it was right when you
Something
came
like
back.
that. I think it was it was right after I got out of jail. Yeah, it's like 78.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, well, I did some research with this one over many years because I've really always been interested with Gacy. Doing the song Crawlspace kind of ignited that, but because I'm not from here, like of course you guys, so I was not, and I would have been like Steve. You said you were about 10. I would have been about how I was. And not really in tune. Even though I had a dad that was a parole officer, I never remembered hearing the word Gacy or the name Gacy until I moved out here. But anyway, I've just always been interested in it. I mentioned the John Borowski movie coming out this year. It's going to be really good.
I can't wait for that.
It's going to be really great.
A lot of work.
He's been putting
John Borowski fucking puts in work with what he does.
Yeah, he's been interviewing all the former, the prosecutor, the cops that arrested him, all of this, going through the whole thing. It's pretty cool. And that poster on the wall there is sick as hell. That art, man, that is fucking amazing. He's going to have some T-shirts with that on there, too. So, anyway, next time we're going to feature another Illinois case, Chris. This time we're going to go back to Chicago and do some Richard Speck. But the problem is that this episode is done in the fucking past. So by the time they hear this, we'll have already done the Speck episode. So I knew it was going to be weird doing this. I wanted to throw that one in there on purpose. It's just weird doing them out of sequence. So offhand, I don't know which one we're doing next when you listen to this. I think it may be a bonus episode because I'll be just coming back from vacation. So anyway, whoever we're doing next, it's going to be good.
I got to go to work every goddamn day. It's pretty fucking bullshit. I love it, dude.
Well, we could pack you up in a suitcase and take you with us if you want.
I mean,
Go.
I can ride in the trunk.
I don't know.
Trunk. Ride in the trunk.
I don't know if he
Get in the trunk, bro.
Yeah, right? His beer in one suitcase and him in the other.
Dude, no, you know I need beer. Fuck yeah.
Well, we've got our buddy CK waiting patiently to get in on this conversation. We got Low 12 in here. They're going to stick around. We're going to get into some Low 12 coming up. We got the Great Metal Motherfucker to get in on it with us. So what are we going to do, Chris?
We're going to get our fucking metal on.
Assembly of the nation joined in a common cause to spill the blood of the innocent as powers that be rule on. Teaching or die, soldiers fight till death in the frozen fields.
Fucking A. Jamming some Low 12. Trench off the Flesh of the Week album. That was a good one. I remember that writing of that with you, Wes. We were coming up with that drum beat that you had, and then I wrote that riff to go with it. It just was like fucking chocolate and fucking peanut butter, huh? You know,
chocolate and peanut butter.
So we got CK, the Great Metal Motherfucker, on Messenger. What's up, CK?
What's going on, everyone?
Everybody's here. Everybody's ready for your take on all this stuff. Of course, we got Low 12 here in the studio still. We got CK on Messenger, but we're doing it better now, CK. You're recording yourself using GarageBand and your fancy iMac over there. And
sounds killer.
It does. It sounds really good.
Status.
It can even withstand the Great Metal Motherfucker, so I'm impressed.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. Well, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. Really glad that the guys were able to make this. Unfortunately, we do not have Les Aldridge here. Les, of course, longtime guitar player for Low 12, had a work conflict, not able to make it. And Travis Waterman, drummer, the last drummer of Low 12, had a hub or some issue with a wheel on his car right outside of town, and he had to turn around and get home. So thankfully he didn't get hurt. But yeah, Dan, everybody else is here. So
motherfuckers, what up, boys?
And we got Crazy Mike Lanham here with us. So Crazy Mike's been silly, making some funny voices, did some commercials. So he's raring and ready to fucking go. So definitely cool. And what do you guys think? You guys that have not been in the studio before, having seen it maybe in pictures, but now experiencing it for the first time.
Kind of makes me horny.
Makes you horny? Wow, okay. That's kind of disturbing, Steve.
There's
what
a
about
bandage up in the cabinet.
What about you, Dan? You've seen a lot of pictures of this.
God. You definitely own this place. This
Okay.
is your spot. That's probably what your high school bedroom looked like.
That's why. That's why.
No,
all I know is if the cops come, you're fucked, bro.
Yeah.
I am not. Tony is.
And Wes, you've never been in here before today either, so you're got to see this for the first time. What did you think when you walked in here?
Dude, just like everything throughout the years I've known you, man, when you do it, You do it upright, man, and fucking
Fuck
A,
yeah.
man. It's
Awesome.
very fitting for what the show is, man. I love
Awesome.
it. Love
very
it.
cool.
Well
very
done.
cool. Well, very cool. And again, Wes and Dan, you guys listen to the show on a regular basis. And I know, Steve, you said you checked out an episode, but Meister, Crazy Mike, I don't know if you guys get a chance at all to listen, but we've established a pretty good following here. And so we appreciate everybody jamming it, and had quite a few Low 12 fans that wanted us to do this. So this was something that people had asked about. And of course, the questions already come up as soon as I announced that we were going to do this. Is, you guys are going to be doing a reunion show. And I know a lot of people have asked about that. And I know that we were joking around about that when we met this afternoon and saying that it would be fun, but we all have a lot of shit going on, and not all of us live right here. And with everything happening, especially with my issue with my foot, would make that pretty difficult. So we are not doing a reunion show. So thank you. We thought we'd go out on top, and I think Low 12 went out on a fucking horns high moment. And so we're plenty, fine with just leaving it there. But as a little tease, we'll announce this at the end. We are actually going to do something, though, so we'll leave it there, and I'll get that We'll get talking about that later on. So it's funny that where we all met Chris Shawback was at those early Breedis Edition shows in Pontiac, and it's crazy how Chris, all these years later, you're here with me doing the podcast, and these guys are here as guests, and it's just kind of crazy. And of course, Meister, met you from back in those old Breedis Edition days, man.
Stupid kids.
I've known Meister since forever, dude. Like, we were kids.
Right.
Like, youngins.
Yeah.
We killed the weak.
Well, you guys were young when I met you, but this would have been like 99, I think, when we did Stomp Fest and Moshing in the Country. Those were the two shows that we met you guys at, and a lot of your friends and all that crowd. And that was kind of the mashup between the Low 12 fans met the Pontiac crowd, and shit was on then.
That was that big fest, whatever that we did in Ransom, wasn't it?
9 Mile?
No, that was 9 Mile Mosh Fest. That was another good one, though.
9 Mile was
that's where I really got. That's where
the Melissa Burning benefit you're talking about, Steve.
Oh yeah,
we did that one down in
Melissa
Champaign.
Burning as well.
Stomp Fest,
that was in
Stomp
Champaign.
Fest was in El Paso or near El Paso.
Wait, the Melissa Burning, that was in Champaign though.
Right, that was in Champaign, exactly.
Some of the first edition shows, the first one I saw, I was just like, wow, who's that hot blonde guitar player? And then he turned around, it was Meister. I was like, oh, yeah, baby.
With the he used to have his baseball cap on and his hair. He had a mullet. Did he have a mullet back then?
No, what are you? It's more like a skull than anything. Fuck. It's prevailed now.
Now, CK, going back to 98 when we started Low 12, what was metal? What was going on at that time in the world of metal, so we could put things in perspective for some of the listeners out there hearing this for the first time?
Well, I think you guys came in at the right time because 98 was when metal was starting to get big again. I mean, you had that new metal shit that was pretty much done. Obviously, the grunge thing was done. I mean, you had new bands like Nile coming out with albums. Death came out with their classic Perseverance. And I definitely think you guys came out at the perfect time, right when metal was starting to go back into an upswing. So I definitely think when you guys formed, it was a perfect time and the perfect thing for you guys to do.
Fuck yeah, man. So when I started the band in 98, I had just gotten back from the East Coast doing some recording with the former band of mine. Got the itch to start playing again, and so when I got back here, started hanging up some flyers to find other musicians. Now, Steve, you and I were friends back then from watching the Pittsburgh Steeler games, both as, of course, Steeler fans. At the 50, we're gonna fight here, Steve. At the 50-yard line in Bloomington, Illinois, and that's where you and I get to know each other. And I remember telling you, I used to play, and of course you're a musician, so we're talking.
Playing at the time.
And then I told you, hey, I want to start this band. And then you wound up saying, hey, I know you'll need a drummer, and I know I'm not really a metal guy, but, you were kind of interested in just kind of helping out. But then got
doing
into
something
it.
Original is what I really wanted to do, and it was original. So that was good.
Right. But it was cool, though, because you're more of a rock drummer than a metal drummer. So, but I thought it put an interesting perspective on it,
Well, really, at the time, I was playing more of funk, and progressive,
right?
Progressive jazz kind of a thing in this one band. So,
without a doubt,
your drums is not like blast beats and anything. It's
no, that wasn't his style.
Drum.
So that's why it was an interesting
my
take on it.
My double bass work was kind of like running,
right? Yeah. No, there's nothing wrong with it. It was just, like I said, it was an interesting style mixed up with what we were doing, and we just started doing our thing in '98. But then, Wes, you stepped in 99, which would have been November. That seemed to be the year of the drummers, November, or the month of the drummers switching. We did that 2 or 3 times in November.
Fucking drummers.
November of '99. What was it like in those early days, Wes, practicing over at Tim's house? And
well, it was interesting coming in because previous to that.
You were gay,
I had played in a progressive metal band, and then for a few years after, I was doing some cover band stuff, and it was just not really my cup of tea, and I wasn't into it. And then I started hearing about Low 12 because Les was having the Low Times mailed to me while you guys were playing with Steve here.
Right.
And I just started getting excited about the project, just watching you guys at first, and then for the opportunity, to obviously come in and join the team. It was really cool, and it was cool too because it wasn't a bad situation I was walking into with a drummer being fired or something like that.
Yeah, it was a total. Steve was very.
Yeah, and
it was a very cool situation. We were all very friendly with it.
Him some money, but,
he said, "I still owe him some money, but."
Steve, you got to practice at Tim's. I mean, that was. What was that basement like over at Tim's house?
Tim's house is like the perfect opening chapter for the story of Low 12. I can't imagine them started anywhere else. I mean, there was blood on the walls in the basement.
Right.
It was paint. But and that house, I don't know if you remember the house very much, but the house itself was like something like from New Orleans or something. And it had the big face, and it was kind of a old spooky house on its own.
Yeah.
So
I remember the basement being really green too.
Some kind of glowing, something under a door. Yeah.
Lots of lights.
But yeah, Tim was one of a kind. I mean, we certainly can't have a discussion about Low 12 without bringing up Tim's house, like you said, Steve. There's some classic stories I've told about Tim here on the podcast. And Tim was just such an amazing guitar player beyond just the personality. I mean, I know we were joking earlier, about Steve, you were saying how Tim was all about the caffeine thing, but he didn't fucking need any.
He didn't need any of it.
He was naturally like that,
Yeah. But he had that, and he played like that too, which really came out.
Really
good in what was trying to be done. I mean, your idea, and then he gives this sort of like overjuiced approach and runs right at it, man. It was really great.
Yeah,
I'll look at you and my cigarette in my mouth and piss on you too.
Crazy Mike, you of course remember the Tim days with the cigarette dangling from his lips as he played. It was so funny.
Oh yeah,
like that.
Especially doing background vocals with the fucking cigarette bouncing around.
It was great.
That was fucking hilarious, man.
I'd be sitting there just checking him out and be like, wow, man, this guy is something,
I just tried to emulate that.
I remember we had recorded a set live with Tim, and his background vocal mic was like ridiculously loud. And Tim was very self-conscious about his vocals anyway.
That just
I had to really get him to do that. And then when we listened back to it, he was so fucking loud. It was like, there's no way we could have used it. You know, it was too ridiculous. But I was fucking with him that I thought it sounded really good, you know. And he's like, fuck that, it sounds ridiculous. And I was telling him we were going to call it Tim 12, you know, because it was just
I remember that.
The Tim McClellan show.
Do you remember the Tim sound check?
The vagina?
Vagina! Vagina!
Yeah, we kept that tradition going after Tim left the band with the vagina, clitoris.
Vagina!
Sodomy was the big one.
Little,
Sodomy! Fuck yeah!
Wow, pretty good impression over there.
A little interesting thing about Tim's vocals too is Tim always sang into a 57, a Shure 57 microphone.
Right.
And the tip of it was just fucking
Just
disgusting with
Just
cigarette smoke and all the spit. And I have that mic at my studio.
Oh, nice.
If anybody wants to come by and sing to us,
smell it or whatever, that's funny.
He's like, the tip of it smells like cigarettes.
Just the tip.
Well,
Just the tip.
Just the tip.
It's got 2 stickers around it right now that say "So heavy it hurts."
Oh, I remember that. Yes.
Dude.
Now, Tim was just a one-of-a-kind individual, as we've just been talking about. His guitar tone was fucking wicked. His playing was great. Unfortunately, as we've discussed before, Tim took his own life February of 2002, only a few months after he left the band. So Les would have been next.
But Les didn't show up because he's a slacker.
Well, Les joined the band in '98 November, so Tim and Les were still, of course, Tim didn't pass until 2002.
Les is a slacker.
But Tim, you know, had him come over, and it was funny the first time I met him because he had all his hair up in a hat because for work he couldn't let his hair down. And so he came over and like the hat popped off, or he took the hat off or something, and all this hair fell out.
All of a sudden, it's
wow, it looks like a metalhead now, you know.
Yeah,
it was just funny because he showed up with this baseball cap on with all his hair up, and he just looked funny. And then he took the hat off, and he had all the hair, and so that's how I met Les. But it's unfortunate, like I said, Les not here with us. But Crazy Mike, of course, you were there supporting us right in the beginning, and you still. I knew you were going to wear that shirt, so I even put it into the notes that you were wearing your Kill Floor shirt, the We're Knee Deep in Waddies, so what's one more on the back. And you were there carrying stuff. Mike, can you get me some water? Mike, can you get me a 9-volt battery? You know, whatever. And
Mike,
you were out there taking pictures of fucking titties and then some. So what was it like? Experience in Low 12 from where you were? You were usually side stage or maybe right up in the front, but all over the place.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, I'd move around, you know, just to see what it sounded like in different spots, you know. And I kind of like just being right out in front by the speakers, you know, and listening to them jam, you know. So
yeah, how many titties you get because of Low 12?
Yeah, that's why I wish I knew, you know. I don't know.
He's like, I wish I knew that number, bro. I wish I knew that number.
You know, it was a good time and stuff. You know, every time we never knew what was going to happen that night or anything, you know. Somebody knew about me or something, you know, or if I just come on up and just kind of give them the, hey, baby. You want to show something there? Or,
What's your sign?
You know, or...
Can you teach that?
Yeah, it's kind of, you know, it's something that, you know, you have to practice on a little bit, but I've had plenty of practice. So.
Yeah, I tell you what, being on stage, jamming away, you know, doing our thing, and anytime I would look up and you were there, I was like, fucking A, awesome. And then when I'd look up and I knew you weren't there,
you're like, well,
I knew for a fact. Mike is doing work. He is knee deep in work right now.
He's probably in the girls' bathroom with some chick in the stall taking pictures.
Female stuff.
Yeah. And it was so funny at the end of the night getting that camera back and like, where the fuck was I while all this shit was
right.
And then I see a picture of me on stage, and then more titties, and then back to me on stage. I'm like, okay, I was up there fucking busting my ass. This guy's over here taking pictures of titties.
Something comes up real quick, and I'm ready to go, boy. I don't care what it is, So I'm just.
No, that was awesome, dude. Your contribution was amazing. Now, Steve, you were in when we did the Moshin' in the Country and Stomp Fest shows. Those were awesome outdoor events, but that definitely put us on the map locally with people that had never heard of us before. I'm sure you remember doing
they were big
those
shows.
Yeah.
You remember the guys hooking up to get the power? They hired those guys.
Oh, yeah.
And they climb up this pole with what was essentially a giant jumper cable thing and clip it right on the fucking wire.
Yeah, that took some fucking balls.
And I'm standing outside. I'm just like, okay, this is going to be some shit here tonight. I have some video of it, but it's really grainy. I put it on this ladder up behind us. And it's really grainy, but you can hear it pretty good. And it's not a bad video, yeah.
And that's funny.
It because it's old digital, old technology. And it's dark. Right. It's got this almost automatic effect going on. And I don't know if you remember that night that one of those two shows, I'm not sure which, they fell over the monitors. The mosh pit did.
Okay.
All up and all over the stage.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like right at the end of a song. And it makes for a great little clip.
Right.
Because the song ends and here comes the crowd just falling all over into the stage.
When you got, no, the best thing in the world is when the fucking dude just goes, clamps the fucking electrical lines. Like, got power, boys?
Yeah.
Like, whatever, dude.
Now,
we did one of those shows with the guys from Champaign, I think. Do you remember the guy
Blessed
that
with Pain?
Remember the guy that would throw up every time he sang?
Oh, Jody, yeah. Yeah.
Wait, Jody? Jody Powder?
Dude, he's still out there, man.
Leather vest, no shirt.
Now, Wes, you would have joined us again November 99. You were the Kill Floor Kid. So you were new on the scene. What was it like when you got into the middle of this whole thing?
It was really cool because, a lot of times when you get into a band, you have to develop the crowd, you have to develop a following, you develop all that stuff and songs, and it was already in motion. So it was like, how fucking quick can you learn these songs? Because we got a show, Y2K was my first show.
Oh, yeah.
Lizard Lounge downtown.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, so it was cool because the train was already moving. Steve laid down the groundwork for the songs and the drums, and I didn't change a whole lot about them, as far as the tempos, the structures, all that stuff. We saw eye to eye, and it was a blast, man.
Fuck yeah, cool. Man. And, we had a lot of great shows with Tim. Of course, we released the first album, Flesh of the Week, on 12/12/2000. That was the night that we played with Propane at the Gaslight, too. That was badass. But as I mentioned earlier, Tim left the band October 2001, died in February 2002. We decided to forge on as a three-piece instead, and I'm sure you remember those days. That would have been back in the maggot-ridden rotting movie days, and we did a lot of stuff back then as a three-piece, but that was kind of crazy, man.
It was, and I think we met at Muggsy's maybe and talked about if we were going to replace Tim or not.
No, actually, we met at Muggsy's on the next time. Yes.
Well, what's interesting, a little backstory here is, when I was probably 17 years old, I saw an ad for two guitar players looking for people to jam with.
Right.
And ended up calling them, jamming with them. It was Les and Tim back then. And then Tim decided he didn't want to do it. We got another bass player, whatever. And we played together for years. And then after we broke up, I always missed jamming with Les and Tim because I was like, God, those guys were brutal. The double solos, the fucking full stacks coming in,
Oh, yeah.
And so years later, it all spun back around. Les is the one that had Pete call me, and without Tim, when we lost Tim, decided to do it as a three-piece was just like, man, I don't think we can find another Tim. You know, that doesn't exist, especially with their dual assault of full stacks and trading solos. So yeah, it was
yeah, and I think we wound up doing a show in Columbia, Missouri, and we thought, let's just see what it sounds like with a three-piece. And everybody was like digging it, you know, and so it wound up turning into a three-piece.
Little Les and a Wes.
I don't know. I got lucky with Les and Wes. I still fuck it up to this day.
I don't, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, you got the same name as your bandmate, minus a letter.
And while we're talking about that show in Columbia, a little call out to Old Sal from East Side and
fuck yeah,
Three-Headed Moses, Nick Blue, call you guys.
Trail, those were amazing, days, man. Now, we did a tour to New York and back in June of 2002. We played all with heavycore bands. We haven't even gotten into heavycore, but that would be an episode in and of itself. We've talked about heavycore before. Was the organization I started about the same time as Low 12 to help organize the bands and network with each other. And we got to see some cool stuff. We saw Ground Zero only a few months after 9/11, Wes. That was fucking crazy. Talked to those firemen at that firehouse, and the night we played in Queens. So I mean, it was some really, really interesting stuff. Now, Crazy Mike, I mean, you were at those early shows with Tim. What was it like when Tim fucking turned that shit up? I mean, he had that stuff fucking loud.
Oh, man, he had that blaring. And boy, I'll tell you, I just loved his solos and just how he presented himself, on stage or something.
Very aggressive playing style. So, like Steve was saying, very
really
aggressive.
Fast volume hand finger.
Yes.
He could work that knob and you hardly see his hand move.
Right. Yeah, when he would want to mute it.
I remember, Trench.
Yeah.
He would go down and back up real quick on every
to mute it. Yeah, that was fucking crazy.
Remember when Low 12 was good?
Yeah.
Now, Chris, that was like 3 days ago, dude.
Chris, you were in the mosh pit at a lot of these shows. What was that all about, man? Back in the day, getting kind of crazy.
Violence.
Drunken violence.
Drunken violence.
That was him getting his ass beat by me.
Boom. Me and Mike get down, dude. No, fuck you, dude. I have never been beat down in the mosh pit by you ever. Other people, maybe, but not you.
I was supposed to get my ass beat by the biggest fucking dude in there because I was dumb.
Dude, I'm fucking small as fuck. I don't give a shit.
We don't have a number for the amount of boobs that Mike took pictures of. We also don't have a number for the amount of glasses that the Shawback brothers had broken in the mosh pit.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
I want to kill you.
Now, we practiced in some very interesting places. For a while, we jammed in a mobile home. I remember doing Flesh of the Week recording there. We practiced at Bonesaw's place in Colfax, and for a while, Wes, we jammed at your place. You were renting, and I remember we had to keep the noise down, so we built the infamous V12 concussion chamber, which was Les's brainchild. I wish Les was here to talk about it, but it was just this sturdy ass fucking structure made with 4x4s and plywood and fucking carpet and ceiling tile and more carpet.
Hear nothing out of here.
And it was inside my garage.
Yeah.
It was so fucking loud in there.
Yeah.
But you can hear outside.
But, dude, everything was crystal clear.
Yeah.
Everything was it was loud as fuck, man. But everything, I could hear. You could hear anything and everything, every hit, every cymbal, every fucking note,
And I think that's how we got really tight, was being able to hear each other like that. And that door was like a freezer door.
Yeah.
So when you shut that door, it was like, you could feel it. It was fucking solid.
He used to be able to walk down my driveway and listen when I was playing drums or when stuff was going on, and you could just hear this little tapping, and this is about all you could hear.
Yeah, you couldn't really hear it.
Right.
Yeah, it was amazing, and then we wound up having to move it to a different location at Les's house, but it was now going to be outside, so we had to roof it and side it. and finish it off, and then still practice there.
Real quick on you guys practicing in Colfax.
Yeah.
You guys were practicing there my senior year in high school. Of course,
okay.
that's my hometown.
Thanks for feeling old. Thank you.
I heard about Low 12 from my mom actually talking about you guys.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Because the entire this is a small town of 1,000 people, and the entire community knew that there was a heavy metal band in town on whatever
You
night
hear
that
Low
was.
12?
Oh, nice.
And I remember my mom telling me, like,
Mom.
you're not
Stay
going over
away.
there. You need to be going, no, I mean, I was off doing my own thing my senior year. But
Right.
But yeah, it's...
That was back when you were all about like
You heard about
NSYNC
that
and
band
shit
Low
like
12?
the
Don't go
Backstreet
there.
Boys and stuff like
yeah,
that.
you know, big Limp Bizkit fan. Of course.
I like Limp Bizkit.
Now we got to open for
Y'all
Guar
got
in
off.
October 2007, which was friggin' amazing. Les wound up leaving the band in March of 2008, and things were changing. And now, of course, we get Dan and Meister joining the band at the same time, because that was when Wes, we sat down. I'm still doing it. We sat down at Muggsy's and had a cheeseburger and a beer and tried to figure out, what are we going to do? We got Les is leaving. You know, do we want to go with 1, 2 guitars? How are we going to do this? And so, what do you remember about that discussion, dude?
It was very similar to you know, when we lost Tim, you know, and decided to go on. It was a big decision because those shoes, even just Les by himself, his unique guitar playing and everything he brought to the band was dropped out from under us, you know. But then we knew that Meister was no longer really actively playing with anybody. And we knew of Dan in the area, and you and I went through a list of, I think we went through a list of names, like, no, you know, and we kind of settled on those 2, and it was like, let's try this. It'll bring new life to the band, kind of, you know, new spark and new styles, and it did.
So, Meister, what was that like when first you joined up with some Low 12 there in your life?
How was
that?
Yeah. All right. They're like, hey, you want to join Low 12? And I'm like, yeah. That's a stupid fucking question, but you know I can't play like fucking Tim, which I want to say any all the damn times, dude. Les, I love you, brother.
All the damn times.
I love you to the bottom of my heart. But like for some fucking reason, I don't know if it's the whole bald thing, but like way back in the day, like every time that I got beaten up in a Low 12 mosh pit, like I was always like, just like
13.
no homo, staring at fucking Tim, like, what do you, how'd you do that? What, hang on. What?
So good for you, Steve.
Oh, shit, man. So, so whenever I got the phone call, like, I was blown away. I was down in my basement doing things, and no Gacy.
Were you like jerking off?
And I got the phone call. I was like, well, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll do it. Fuck yeah. And then whenever I hung up the phone, I was like, fuck, what did I just get myself into? Shit. So then I started practicing as much as I possibly could, and for some reason, these fuckers accepted me.
Dan, what about you? I know you got in right at the same time as Meister, so.
Well, I was still playing in Zero Shift at the time, and Wes and I talked, ironically, when I joined the band. I was in a band with Eric Volsky, and he's in a band with Volsky today. A hell of a guitar player that guy is, but it was the same as Meister. You know, I remember coming home from work and the phone rang, and of course I'd had your number, and like, what the fuck does this guy want, you know? And asked me to join the band, and I turned you down at first,
right?
Because I knew I was going to be busy with Zero Shift. We were about to start recording our album, and it was one of those. I went to work the next day and thought, like, what the fuck? I just turned down Low 12. So I called Pete as soon as I got home from work that day and told him, I would like to at least come check it out and see what happens. Trying to play it cool, you know.
Right.
And came over, I'd met Meister before, but never really talked to him. And me and him got along right away.
Right.
And then that's when Dan met me.
And, it was a.
So yeah, it was just
the
great.
Exact same thing what he said. I got off the phone. And I'm like, God damn, I got to work on my shit now because I'm playing floor 12.
Right.
You know, Zero Shift was fun, but that was just kind of me and Volsky playing, jamming together.
That's a pretty good band, though.
A lot more structured here.
Yeah, you guys are good.
Thank you.
Yeah, we we always did things kind of our own way, and so it was great to have new blood in the band, like Wes said. Wes, that was definitely tough. With Les leaving the band, we were struggling with how we were going to deal with that, and we met about it and decided to forge on. So we've got 2 new guys in the band, and Crazy Mike, you were in the middle of things too, so you were getting to see us now without Les, and it was cool having the new guys in the band, but it was still different. I mean, it's hard to replace a guy like that. I mean, Les is just over the fucking top.
The fucking top.
So, I mean, it's not somebody you could just pull off the shelf no matter how good they are,
That sound that he had, and stuff, that was really something, And so, I'll tell you, Les was really good, big guy to miss,
Yeah, and
he brought
was
a lot to the band that wasn't band stuff. Like he could fix anything.
Oh yeah.
Fix anything.
Well, I remember we were recording Splatter Pattern, and we were looking for a guitar player to play a solo, and on the Lines Drawn, we did Lines Drawn again, and I thought, boy, Les would just nail it. Obviously, that was his solo. So I called him up and just said, hey, you want to do this solo? And he's like, all right. And then we got talking, and he said he wasn't as busy as he had thought when he wound up leaving the band for some other issues that he had going on with his job switching. And so anyway, it's like, well, he's got all this free time now. And it's like, well, why don't you just join the band again? Like, what the fuck, And then Les came back, and it was just like, okay, like everything's kind of like normal again, just weird. And like I said, no slight to either Meister or Dan, but it just, you had an iconic guy like Les just leave and then came back. It was just such a weird time, just such a strange thing.
You're only talking shit about him because he ain't here.
There's no comparison. Les has always been one of my what do I call it? I've looked up to him.
Guitar hero.
Guitar hero? Seriously?
Yeah, that's right.
A mentor.
You're gonna fucking pull Guitar Hero into a fucking Les Aldridge riff? Are you fucking serious right now?
Duh.
Like he's always been an iconic motivator.
Guitar Hero, motherfucker.
Motivator to me, like, dude, it's like. It's like demons talking to demons. The shit that he could do.
Yeah.
Like, it was ridiculous.
No, Les is an amazing guitar player, and so having Les come back after 18 months was nice. But it was tough, to see Dan leave. We kept in touch, of course, and have remained in touch, which was good. To not have to leave, just like with Steve when you left, it wasn't a negative thing. It was like, hey, you guys are finding somebody that fits better. And
I've been to plenty of low 12 shows.
Yeah, you have been to a lot of low 12 shows.
Well, it was interesting for me too, if you don't mind me.
No, go ahead, dude.
With Meister and Dan coming in and fresh, I'll be honest with you guys. I've been such a good friend of Les's for such a long time and connect so easily with him playing that it was like, yeah, I want to do this, but I don't know if it's going to work, And from the first time we jammed in my basement, it was like, fucking A,
Yeah.
And I brought a lot from that. Like, I gained a lot from that because you guys have different styles, different, ways you play, everything, and it made me a stronger drummer, just like branching out and trying something new. So
I'll tell you what, it definitely made me a stronger guitar player.
I haven't touched my guitar
trying to figure out Mountains of the Dead with your two fuckers, your two heads, blue. That took me a long fucking time to figure it out.
Yeah.
I apologize, but I don't apologize because man, that
tough.
That's the one. When I look back at my career, if you want to call it that, that's like the hardest song I've ever.
Mountains of the Dead. Seriously,
how to play,
dude.
Yeah.
fucking
It's tough.
Yeah, it was a marathon, man.
Fucking A, dude.
But it wasn't in any kind of, in the low 12 language, there wasn't any chucks or double chucks in there.
Right.
It was all sporadic.
Yeah, right. And
Yeah.
dude,
Chuck Woolery.
Yeah, that was an epic fucking tune. And we recorded Splatter Pattern. We released it in 2010. Definitely a strong album. I know Meister and I had some very frustrating days recording guitars because I was having a computer issue and he was trying to help me and I couldn't even figure it out. It was not good. But we got it. We figured it out.
What was it? The fucking rate?
It was something about the bit rate. Yeah, the bit rate was off.
Bit rate?
Yeah.
Asshole.
I definitely wanted to smash some shit that day. But then after that, Wes, you stepped down spring of 2010 to go to school for audio recording. And after 10 years playing with us, it definitely had to be tough. But just like everybody else, you know, that left, you left on good terms as well. So.
Yep. And it was interesting. I remember the day that I talked to you guys about it, and Meister was in the band at that time too, and I was like, Waterman.
Waterman.
And you said, I've already been thinking that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually remember that. You were like,
instrumental, he picked something.
Yeah, but see, I didn't know Travis was even a drummer at the time, so I was like, really? He was a bass player, you know? And you were like, no, he could bring it. And so I was pretty amazed because I remember I called him and talked to him about it. He was up for it. And I gave him a list of like 2 or 3 songs, you know, learn these few songs, you know, see what you come up with. Come to practice and we'll see what happens. And so I think you had given him a set list. He learned the whole fucking set list. So like we ran through the few songs I asked him to learn, no problem. He was fine. And then he knew the whole rest of the fucking set. I mean, we could have literally done a show with him that day, and he would have been completely fucking fine. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
That Waterman is. Just to set this clear, he's one of them guys that hey, do this. Okay, all right. Now what's next?
I got it.
He's unbelievably good at catching on very, very quickly,
and unbelievably quiet.
Yes,
super quiet.
And something I always say about Travis Waterman is if you watch him play, and if you put like a cubicle around him and couldn't see his drums, he makes no facial expressions.
Right.
He would be like, you'd think he was on his computer back there just.
Right. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, it's pretty
that
crazy.
Makes so much sense, man.
And of course, CK, you know, you with your drumming background, I'm sure, you know, we've been talking about the different drummers in Low 12, but I don't know, you have any take on what you thought about the skill level of the playing, basically, with Low 12?
Oh, well, all the drums were sick. I mean, Wes laid down some sick shit in those first couple albums, and then when Travis came along, you know, he took it up. He took some of the stuff what Wes did and just, you know, put his own style to it.
Right. Well, and just like Steve, before we recorded an album, Steve did a demo with us, but, you know, like we said, we've grown with each new person that came into Low 12 as we've had some people leave. We've had new people come on, and it just kind of kept growing different directions. Everybody kind of changes it a little bit, but it still seemed to have the same raw elements of Low 12, because I remember Les came to see us play the first show we did with Dan and Meister, and he said it's so weird seeing you guys up there playing, but it still sounds like Low 12. It still has...
It's like everybody... Every new
you guys
member
always had the same sound.
Yeah, like every new member complimented the previous.
Yeah, and didn't change it.
Didn't
like
change it, just
make
complimented
it
in their own different aspects.
Respected it.
You
what
kept
were you
trading
say,
up.
Steve?
Hell yeah.
What's that?
You kept trading up.
Trading up?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think any of you guys were all skilled in different ways, so I wouldn't look at it that way as much as just every drummer we got was very different than the one before it, you know.
Everyone had a little bit of a different style.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
And like you mentioned before about Les saying that it was Low 12. After I left the band, I had an experience when I went and saw him live that I couldn't believe it, because I knew Travis Waterman was a killer bass player. I knew he was a great drummer. I knew he was talented, and I had no question he could do it. No question. But when I went and saw you guys live for the first time, I felt honored because some of the songs that I had wrote with you guys,
right,
he was playing them pretty much note for note.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there like just awestruck, like this is what it sounds like to see Low 12 from out here.
This is what it sounds like to see
and
Low
Waterman
12.
was badass, and he was doing little things here and there with the original songs.
Right.
Yeah, and then when you guys started writing new stuff, it was cool because it saw his creative side too, so it was awesome.
Fuck
I
yeah.
felt exactly the same way.
Yep. Awesome, man.
First couple times I saw him.
Fucking drummers are douchebags. Yep, I get it.
That's not a,
now,
that's
February
not a false
2013,
statement.
we recorded and released
Anybody that's a
Skin in the
drummer
Game.
Is a dickhead.
And
like,
Skin in the Game, if you guys remember, came out with a DVD,
drummers.
13 Brutal Years. I remember that DVD was the death of me to fucking put together. I vowed I would never fucking do video again after doing that, and I...
That was a good DVD.
Thank you. It was fucking awful because I was working with this dog of a desktop computer that was so slow I couldn't watch it in real time. It was a long story. But anyway, that album and DVD was good, and that was recorded with you, Wes, as the engineer. So that was cool. You left the band to go to engineering school, and then we stayed in touch, and then wound up recording with you. So that was kind of cool to do that together.
And it was a little bit of two things. I was honored to be able to still work with you guys, but I was also very selfish, and I didn't want somebody else fucking up the Low 12 sound. Because I know what Low 12 is supposed to sound like. And
yeah, if you fuck that sound up, you're fucked.
Yep.
So the last album we put out, the sixth one, of course, entitled Six, not because of that, but it came out in July of 2016. It was another story album I wrote, like This Side Toward Enemy, previously. Now, CK, you were involved. You and I were working together on my writing side of things, and you, of course, knew all about the album and songs, and I was playing demos for you to see what you thought, because as a metalhead and then also somebody that knew intimately what that story was all about.
Yeah, that's definitely cool. It was a sick thing because you're sending me, chapters, and at the same time you're sending me demos of the songs.
Right.
It was so fucking, it was kind of like a surreal experience because, I could see what was going through your mind and what you were creating, and it was definitely a cool time.
Yeah.
Going through those, reading the chapters and you sending me the demos and, asking me about how does this sound, how does that sound, and,
right.
I put in my 2 cents here and there, and you actually took my advice a couple of times, so it was pretty cool.
That's why I asked, dude. Yeah, I consider your advice sage. Of course, Chris and I rely on you for your great metal motherfucker knowledge, but you have more skills, of course, than just that.
Don't drink a lot
now,
of
sadly, we broke up only a few months later. October 2016, Meister decided did not want to play guitar anymore. Travis didn't want to play drums anymore, so Les and I were like, okay, well, half the band is gone. What are we going to do? We talked about a couple different people that we would be interested to play with, but when Travis decided to leave, it's like, okay, now we got to deal with the drummer and a guitar player. We both thought, you know what? It's been 18 years. I really would have liked to have gone 20 or 25, more of a milestone, and then just pack it in. But hey, I didn't get to write the ending of that story, so there wasn't anything I could do but just agree with him that we were done, and that was that. So I remember, I gotta say, that the most difficult person to call was Crazy Mike. I really bothered me to call him and tell him that, because I knew how much you liked the band, Mike, and it was like, man, this really sucks for me and for everybody, but I really was very concerned about you because I knew how much you liked being a part of it,
Yeah, I did. It got me out on the weekend, and I liked all the guys. It was fun to get out there and hear all the different bands and stuff. And I always thought, you know what, they're in too many of those bands that we played with that could top low 12. I'll tell you, there was some pretty decent ones, but nobody. I don't think There's a few of them, few probably like Propane and stuff like that. Some of those big bands, but. The ones that we played with all the time, I was thinking I always liked the one that Meister used to be in, Sedition. That was one of my favorites, and then I always liked the one in Urbana too.
Blessed with Pain.
Blessed with Pain.
Yeah, of course.
And,
there were so many really just great bands we jammed with back in the day. I mean, so many to mention. I mean, I don't even know if we could do it justice, but we mentioned the Columbia, Missouri guys, Three-Headed Moses and Slug Trail were great friends. And Wes, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, talking about old Crazy Mike Lanham, man. If it puts it into perspective how big of a supporter this guy was to not only the band but all of us as friends and shit too. The first time I met Crazy Mike Lanham was the second time I jammed with Tim and Les. It's 2020 right now. That was 1995. And he was there to support, help carry in for practices, all that stuff. So I've seen this guy help out relentlessly throughout the years. So.
Yeah, big time, man. And we had a lot of accomplishments. I mean, we've had released 6 albums, 2 DVDs. We've had songs on movie soundtracks. A couple of them were pretty low budget, but Jigsaw was a real movie. They used Brutal World, and Butcher Boys, of course, used 2 songs for that car chase scene. That was awesome. We did a number of music videos. Of course, Jeff Feasley helped us in the early days, but then started to learn how to do that stuff ourselves. And that's usually what we did with things because we had no money. So we had to figure out how to do this shit DIY on the cheap, learned how to record ourselves. I mean, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing, but we did the best that we could and managed to make it work. Somehow, I don't know how, but we did it. So we got to open for some great bands like Cannibal Corpse, Guar, Propane. I mean, some of these bands were just fucking brutal, and shared the stage with so many just great heavycore bands. Just an awesome run. We should be very proud of what we did. We accomplished a lot in 18 years. A lot of people talk about what they want to do and make, sounds good, to have that discussion. But to actually sit down and put in the fucking work and get the shit done, that definitely would be our testament, I think, of what we did, is we just got the shit done. And you guys know how it was. I'd be handing you the album in a box with 25 or however many copies you were going to get. And in the same conversation, I was like, okay, so next, here's what I think we should do next.
Yeah.
I wasn't even, done with, passing out the copies of the CD before we were ready to start working on the next one. So we've always been like that. Now, CK...
Shit, you're still like that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's just...
You never fucking stop,
well,
man.
it's gone from one thing to the next thing. I had a brief hiatus, CK, where I was just writing, but then the Shawback and I get together, decide to do this podcast, and then I'm like, I already listened to serial killer documentaries and stuff anyway, so I mean... How long could it take for me to prep for something like that? I mean, it can't be a big deal. And then I should have known better because I don't do anything halfway. So now I'm fucking putting out these 11 and 12-page scripts every fucking week. These guys couldn't fucking believe it when I gave them the handout. They were like, what the fuck? Every week doing this shit. So, yeah, it's kind of that way with me. But what was metal like, CK, at that time when Low 12 called it quits in 2016? It's been 2 years.
It was definitely in a better position than when you guys started. I mean, you still have bands, like Testament just came out with a new album. Anthrax just came out with a new album. You guys definitely put a dent in the genre, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
You had your own style. And I still can't figure out how some of these people got you confused with some of these other fucking bands. So Crowbar.
Yeah, I know. I was telling him how somebody had compared us in a review to Clutch, which I thought was weird. And then somebody had referenced the Crowbar.
Shawback's favorite band.
Crowbar. So, anyway.
And Propane. I could kind of see the Propane, but Clutch and Crowbar, I don't know what the fuck this guy was smoking.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. So, anybody have anything to add about this discussion of Low 12? I mean, anything we didn't talk about that you guys wanted to? Anything left unsaid? I mean, it's not like we're never going to have the conversation again, but I mean, while we're on the topic, anything at all? I would like to talk about what you guys are doing now. And what you got going on in your personal, lives, or just a brief update on where you guys are at. So, Wes, you want to start it off? Let us know what you got going on.
Yeah,
you're a busy guy.
First of all, just thanks for the opportunity to do this, because this was cool coming together with brothers that you spent a lot of time with, and you have a piece of history to share with. Brutal history.
Nice.
Well said, right?
Big time.
But the monster that Low 12 was because of what everybody brought to it, and every stage of the way made it that, and you with the organization and the getting everything together and keeping the train rolling, Les doing the mechanic stuff, Meister jumping into that role.
Right.
All of the skills that everybody brought to it, it's just it's a whirlwind of fucking awesomeness that I was involved with, so... It's
dude.
Cool, man. Get a little fucking choked up on that shit.
Yeah, for sure, man.
But now...
you're busy playing in 3 fucking bands.
I'm playing in 3 bands. I play in an Aussie tribute band. I play in a couple cover bands. Knucklehead is one of them, and the other one is Mixtape Mayhem. I'm trying to widen my horizons as far as what types of music I'm playing, to learn a little bit of every style. And I'm also working on writing some shit. Got a couple projects going. It's pretty exciting to have the Low 12 secret that you're going to hear about here soon.
That's right.
But yeah, I'm happy with my life and the way that music has taken me. And like I said, thank you all for this history, because it's
awesome, dude.
It's badass.
That's awesome. Crazy Mike, what do you got going on, buddy?
Well, I just wanted to say that. Boy, it was a great 18 years, with Low 12. That you become friends with all the guys, and you get to go around and see different places, and just meet a lot of new people and stuff like that. And we had such a great time, it was just kind of like a house. A lot of bands don't get together or don't seem to stay together or something, Low 12 just always was there, and
right.
And never, that was the thing for me, I was so happy to be with a band that long, and be able to get to see as much as I got to see and everything, and it was just a great time, and I always remember that. And
awesome, dude.
Nowadays, I'm just working over to Nudist Colony, and
what a perfect job for you.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I enjoy that. So,
is it a senior Nudist Colony?
Yeah, there's all ages, but it is a lot of older people, but it's still a good time.
That's awesome.
I play a lot of.
Tennis,
and just
let it hang all over,
New trampoline,
new tennis,
the trampoline.
Yes.
I like to play on the trampoline and jump around, and just let it all hang out.
Nice. What about you, Steve? What do you got going on, bud? You're busy too.
Well, like Wes, I got it right that time.
Yeah.
Was saying, actually, I'm proud to say I was in Low 12, and people talk about what things I've done. Low 12 is definitely always part of that story. And thanks for putting today together, just like he said.
Cool, cool.
After I left, I started to try to learn to play guitar.
Right.
And I remember telling Blessed with Pain Sean, the guitar player, that's what I wanted to do. And he said, well, if I can do it, you can do it. And
right.
So thanks, Sean, because I tried real hard, and I'm at least I can play a few chords now. I learned enough to write some songs and record an album. Came out in about 2010 called Bad Halo with some other people. It's not metal at all, but if you have a real wide taste spectrum, look it up. I'm going to try to get a couple songs on YouTube.
Awesome.
And then since then, I've had the privilege of being a little duet with my son. He's a good guitar player. He's currently a professional wrestler named Buck Brewster.
Yeah,
if you have to hear that name, go see and check him out. Yeah, so right now I'm working with an old friend of mine who's he's really one of the best bass players in the area, and writing a couple songs, and we're doing this acoustic thing and just seeing what kind of stew comes out of it. What kind of recipe we get. But yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Meister, what about you, buddy?
Oh, hey. Playing with the GoPro. Sorry.
He likes the camera.
I do like the camera, especially when it's going on my pants. I don't know. I've kind of stepped away a little bit from the music, but mainly the live thing. There's a possible studio-ish project, maybe a couple. Shit, now that I'm looking around the room, thing happening. Not really into the whole live thing anymore. Just more, putting down projects, putting down skill. That's saying quote skill.
Right.
Whatever. Just have some.
That's cool.
Have some fun. Write some shit, and make it angry. How about Dan?
What about Dan? Yeah, what do you got going on, Dan?
Not a whole lot, really. I was in a band in Indiana for 6 or 7 months or so, and it just didn't pan out. My workload went through the roof, and I couldn't practice the songs and show up to practice every day.
Sure.
Being able to play them. But, yeah, now I'm just buying a PA and trying to put a little PA business together. So if anybody needs a sound guy and some equipment, I can do that.
Very cool.
As far as my low 12 experience, I was fortunate to, you guys were coming out right when I got out of high school, so by the time I hit 21, you guys were really moving on the scene. So I got to see it from that angle, and then in the band,
right,
and then Sans band.
Right.
So, and I thought it was fitting that your guys' last show got to be with Dwells Within, so I got to play with you guys on your last show and be there. And I remember knowing that when you guys played, when you played Crawlspace, it was going to be the last time I ever saw it live, and I remember sitting down and just appreciating that.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Well, I know, like you guys all said, I can't say it any different. It was just a great time, and I was honored to play with you guys. You guys were fantastic,
Likewise.
each in your own right, man. It was just a good time, and as friends, as Crazy Mike said, just a very cool camaraderie between us, and genuinely like to be around each other. And I'm sure we drove each other nuts on occasion, but overall, really good, positive time to be had, and I think it was amazing. And right now, I mean, of course, you guys listening know that I do the Murder Metal Mayhem podcast here with Chris, but also do my own writing. And so I've got different writing projects I'm working on right now. An illustrated novel with Brian Usual. Brian's done a lot of my book covers, and Brian and I are working on a project called Deeper Than Dead, and that is an illustrated novel divided in 10 parts. And so Brian is working on the illustrations. I'm about halfway done with the book right now, and so that project is going to be wrapping up this year at some point. But speaking of Deeper Than Dead, I had decided I wanted to write a song to go with the project, because I thought it would be really cool to have to use for like a trailer for the book, to get people excited about it. And I had this idea for this hook for this song, and I've had this little riff running through my mind for the past couple of years. As a matter of fact, I had debated whether to start a band again. I had gotten with Wes here a couple of years ago before we started doing the podcast, because at the time I didn't know that I was doing this. And it didn't work out. He had just a lot going on, and it just didn't work out. And so I kind of shelved the band, didn't really think that it was going to happen, and I just kind of wondered, did I even want to put myself through all that again? But then the podcast happened. I kind of gave up the idea to do the band, but then this came up, and I thought, well, we're getting Low 12 together to do this podcast. We've had a lot of people asking us, well, are you guys going to do a show? Are you going to do some sort of reunion thing? And while earlier I said, hey, that's just not something we're looking to do. But what we are going to do is we are going to record the song that I'm working on called Deeper Than Dead. And we're going to do that as Low 12. And so everybody that's interested, that's a former member of the band, will have some impact on the song, whether it be recording a little solo or, some rhythm tracks or some guest, gang vocal stuff. I'd like to get as many people involved, and Wes and I talked about this because he's got a studio and of course can record it, and so we're going to do it. So it's going to be a new Low 12 song that you guys will get to hear, and then we even talked, Wes, earlier about an idea you had about a project. I don't know if you want to mention that here or not, or he's got an idea that he's thinking about maybe using another Low 12 song, like a cover of another song. So that would be something that would be fun to do. So like you were saying, Meister, maybe more recording and stuff. We could see maybe doing some things, not a full length album, just because I don't think any of us have that kind of time, but doing a song like this I think is fun. And so that's what I've been doing, and of course really happy that we're able to have you guys in here for this discussion. So
for sure,
fuck yeah.
And I talked to Les a little bit in the last couple days too, and we kind of discussed a few things about all of us here, and it's kind of cool because through life you don't keep in touch with as many people as you want to all the time. But
right.
It's really cool to know that every single member of Low 12 is like, I could go 10 years without seeing your asses and see you again, and it's just like pick up where you left off.
I'm actually a little disappointed. Part of today's reward was to be able to see Les, and I actually mean that, dude.
I know. I wanted to see him too. I really did. So we're sorry, Les and Travis were not able to make it, but CK, it was good to have you on, talking a little bit with us here and doing that great metal motherfucker thing that you do. So thank you for...
Yeah, it was definitely fun. I had a good time.
Awesome, dude. Thanks again. And guys, I think we're ready to hit this last section here, do some outro. So we'll see you guys on the other side.
Current runs through my body, smell flesh burn, full teeth with the spoon. Pain won't stop unless you confess. For rings death, your welcome sight to dark.
That was Tim McClellan for sure. Little Low 12 S21. That was my personal choice when we all got to say we wanted to try a song or two.
Yeah, one of my fucking most favorite songs. I tried to get you. I wanted to redo that, dude, so many fucking times.
Oh yeah.
Is how many times did we?
That's
what
true.
songs do we want to redo? I'm like S21 right
S21,
here.
yeah.
Let's do it.
That was one of my favorites. So that was one that I definitely wanted to try to get in there. Huge thanks to all my former Low 12 brothers for coming in to do this. This was really cool. Definitely killer, and I hope you guys had a good time here. Thanks to all the Low 12 fans out there who've been wanting to do something like this. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Keep it fucking heavy. We'll keep you posted on the recording stuff that we've been talking about. And like you heard the guys talk about things that they're doing now, different projects they're involved with. I encourage you to go check it out. And I'll try to find some links to their stuff and put it in the episode description. So go to that, and there'll be some links so you can check out some of the stuff we're talking about. All the music for this podcast, including the theme song for the show by Low 12, played a variety of stuff, almost one from every one of the 6 albums. Check out spellboundeffectsandart.com for their incredible online catalog. of silicone body parts, hands, feet, dicks, or whatever else you desire. Tony has an amazing Ed Gein-inspired collection, human skin lamps, aprons. I mean, this shit is fucking wicked. So go support him at spellboundeffectsandart.com. Also, book your own ghost tour, seance, or take the Jeffrey Dahmer Cream City Cannibal Tour up there at Shaker's Cigar Bar in Milwaukee, an amazing place. Chris and I love going up there, and we've had a couple of ghost hunts up in Shaker's, and it's such a good time. So hangmantours.com to get yourself on one of those. Thanks, everybody listening out there. We do appreciate that very much. We continue to dominate, and to see how many of you guys getting your murder on every week really helps us want to keep doing this thing. So, Dan, you want to read the first one there? We got a listener comment.
We got Rick Williams 82 commented, my favorite episode so far was the David Koresh one. Loved the interview you guys did with the survivor.
Nice.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, that was a fun one. I know Chris and I met David Thibodeau at the Dark History Convention. The last guy to walk out of Waco alive. Pretty crazy stuff. We got to talk to him, and so glad that, Rick, you dug on that episode. Meister, you want to read the next one there?
Tammy Kills Rachel commented, I pre-ordered my activity book. I can't wait to get it.
Who's going to rub their balls on it before they send it?
Stop it.
Well, I'm glad that Tammy pre-ordered her book. You can do that. I'll link to that also in the episode description. But by the time this episode is out, the book will have already been out. But you can still get it, of course.
Good
and we've got
times,
some
man.
new Joe Matheny Cannibal stickers that are going out with the book. So this book, you guys got to see it, a little sample of that. What did you guys think of the new Murder Metal Mayhem activity book?
Yeah, it's creepy. I like it.
It's
I like
creepy.
It.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Crazy Mike, you liked it?
Yeah, I liked it. Oh, I thought it was
You like the couch fucker stuff, I know
I love
that.
that
Could you
part.
imagine if he knew that we were doing that? And the guy that actually fucked your grandmother's couch.
Yep.
I mean, that's
It's a
No,
good
you
couch,
used to-
man. It's a good couch.
kind of tough to
he
come
said
back
it's
from
nice
that
and
one.
tight,
dude.
boy, he used to get that all the time.
Did the couch have the plastic on it like everybody's grandma's couches
No,
had?
That's even worse.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
No, it's not worse because
he had the blow up dial too. You know, they put in the attic. I thought that was kind of weird about
Right.
Gacy, you know, and stuff. But you know, he had the blow up dial that he had, you know, used to put in my attic, and I didn't know that. And he bring that baby out. And, you never know what he was doing with that. And then next thing you know, pop. You know. Oh man. Oh.
She looks surprised.
Pulls his stuff up.
Next thing you know, pile.
Wes,
How
you
does the
want to
couch look surprised? I want to see that.
Yeah, the couch was.
Wes, you want to read the next one? And then Steve, you can read the last one.
Devilman666 said, "This is the best podcast ever. It combines serial killers and heavy metal into one. Fuck all the rest."
Hell yeah, Devilman666. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Glad you liked it. And Steve, the last
Stacy
comment.
Fine? I wonder if she is.
I don't know.
Stacy Fine 78 said, "Will you guys ever do an episode on Ed Gwynn?"
Ed Gein.
Gein?
Ed Gein.
Did you not
I'm
mention
sure
him
we
earlier
will
tonight?
eventually. Ed Gein.
Yeah, I thought you mentioned him earlier.
Yeah, we mentioned him quite a bit because he's a pretty. He's right there on the wall, of course. Our mask from Sick Rick, the zombie Ed Gein. So that's Rick is an amazing artist. Of course, did that one. He did the Gacy one, the Fish one, and then over here the black metal devil, which we call Dominus, over there on the wall. So really, really wicked stuff. Don't forget to check out murdermetalmayhem.com to listen to all our podcasts and episodes, bonus content, all that stuff. Go check out the Murder Metal Mayhem YouTube channel and subscribe to that. Follow us on Twitter at Get Your Murder On and like us on Facebook. Join the 666 Club and support the podcast on our Patreon page at patreon.com/murdermetalmayhem. It's only $3 a month, so come on now. You get all the episodes early, bonus content, deals on the merch, free stuff. So it's a good deal, and we appreciate that very, very much. And until next time, Chris, keep one foot in the gutter.
And keep your fist hanging out with low motherfucking 12.
Nice.
The lights go out, it's time for war. We're on the kill floor. We're knee deep in bodies, so what's one more? We're on the kill floor. The lights go out, it's time for war. We're on the kill floor. We're knee deep in bodies, so what's one more? Strapped down in a bed, where I wait for them to make me dead. Voices in my head fight for control until my last breath. Sometimes I did should be left alone. I had in the past a forgotten lore. Pages undisturbed, stealing eyes from you. Kept in the dark and away from you. To the lane, waiting to die. To the lane, no one is wide. The pain, instead of death in the face. Come insane, left to rot. Look to the pain, instead of death in the face. Come insane, left to rot in a dark road. In the dark road.
Center, Tower 1.
All the streets of panic, courage, cuts the chaos. Hero rises from the ashes. All the streets of panic, courage, cuts the chaos. Hero rises from the ashes. Heroes listen. The world starts to crumbling down. Hello, my name is Gacy. Won't you say, don't be hasty. If you're good, I'll let you see where I hid the 33. Little dirt with a twist of lime.
Just so you know.
Okay, I gotta stop laughing for a second. I'm Crazy Mike, and you're listening to Metal.
There you go, read it.
Mike, you got something hanging out of your shoe there, buddy.
Okay. Oh. This is Crazy Mike, and you're listening to Murder, Metal, and Mayhem. One more.
No pressure, dude.
Yeah. There's no eyes on you.
This is Crazy Mike, and you're listening to Murder, Metal, and Mayhem.
Just don't put that and in there.
Oh, Murder, Metal, Mayhem.
Okay. One more time, I got it. This is Crazy Mike, and you're listening to Murder, Metal, Mayhem.
Mother, man.